CN8 kicks off the 2005 football season with a bang. Division I AA perennial powerhouse Georgia Southern runs into your living room with preseason All-American Jermaine Austin. And a punishing defense returning 3 returning all-conference players. The Eagles head north to Boston for a matchup with Rocky Hager and his Northeastern Huskies featuring speedy wideout Corey Parks. Hey, keep your hat on. Georgia Southern and Northeastern straight ahead on CN8. Today we kick off the college football season on CN8. Northeastern University in Boston, an intersectional matchup, Georgia Southern and Northeastern. Hi everybody, I'm Brian Weber, joined by Bill Osborne. It is great to have you with us on CN8. We'll be with you the next 11 weekends, spotlighting the very best in college football. And Billy, we start with a compelling matchup. The A-10 has produced the last 2 national champions, and nobody can duplicate what Georgia Southern has done historically on this level.
This is a great matchup. I don't think either head coaches like it, but for a first game, this is unbelievable.
Let's take a look at the standings from last year. Northeastern came in at 5-6, but remember, 4 of those losses were decided by 4 points or fewer.
Yeah, and they play in one of the toughest conferences in all Division I AA, so Coach Hager is looking for a definite improvement this year. And there you go, Georgia Southern. They are a perennial contender for the national championship. 6 all-time, and 7 of the last 9 years, they've won the Southern Conference Championship. So this is a team to be reckoned with year in and year out.
And they had their season ended last year in the playoffs by an A-10 team in New Hampshire. Let's talk more about Northeastern. They have returning talent in their dangerous wideout, Corey Parks. This guy's a playmaker.
He is a playmaker, and his coach said for this level, he makes some of the most unusual plays as a wideout. He's a terrific player. He's a preseason Atlantic 10 and All-American candidate, and there he is running what you call an easy route. That's an easy catch for Corey Parks. Coming back, he's ranked number 3 by the Sporting News of all returning I AA wide receivers, and he's a tough kid. He even captained his high school wrestling team.
And the numbers back it out. He's on the verge of making history. If he can match what he did last year statistically, he'll wind up the all-time leading receiver in the history of Northeastern football. As for Georgia Southern, nobody runs the football like the Eagles, and Jermaine Austin has piled up some awfully impressive stats in the backfield.
When you face Georgia Southern, you better be ready to strap it on, because here comes the triple option attack, and this is the guy that makes it go right here. He is a good inside runner with excellent quickness. There he is, filling the hole, gashing it right up the middle. He's a 3-time Southern Conference Award candidate. He's a returning All-American candidate, and boom, he can bounce off players too. He's also a Walter Payton Award candidate, which is given annually to the top I AA player in the nation.
He is the leading active rusher in all of Division I football, 1A or 1AA. These teams last year combined to average 99 points a game. The ball will be in motion today in Boston. It is Georgia Southern and Northeastern. We kick off another outstanding college football season directly ahead on CN8. Georgia Southern fans making the trek to New England. Georgia Southern located in Statesboro. That's about 50 miles northwest of Savannah, and they have done marvelous things in Division I AA football. We would like to welcome those of you watching on Charter Comcast Sports Southeast, and of course our thoughts are with everyone affected by the devastation of Hurricane Katrina. In terms of weather on this afternoon in Boston, it is a fabulous day. Temperatures expected to reach the high 70s, ideal conditions as Mike Sewak's team gets set up to play their season opener. And to talk more about their offense, let's check in with the third member of our broadcast team, Greg Murphy. Murph?
Well, guys, I'll tell you what. We are in for a treat today watching this Georgia Southern offense being led by last year's Southern Conference Freshman of the Year, Jason Foster. What a player this kid is. He gets the start today at quarterback as a sophomore. Just a phenomenal athlete. He can hurt you in just about from anywhere on the field. Why not put the ball in his hands as much as possible? But don't be surprised if we also see Darius Smiley today. He has run this offense as a backup for the past 2 seasons, and he can be explosive as well. 2 terrific quarterbacks for Georgia Southern. That's a pretty good problem to have, guys. Back upstairs.
Thank you, Greg. Undeniably, it is the quarterback who makes this offense go, Bill, because there are so many checks and reads he makes as he moves along the line, and a major defensive challenge for Rocky Hager's team. Rocky in his second year at Northeastern after going 5-6, 4-4 in conference play a year ago. Prior to that, spent 7 years at Temple as an assistant coach and knows all about success on the D2 level and 1AA as well. Rocky winning a pair of national titles at North Dakota State. Interestingly, Georgia Southern won the toss, but they defer. They'll have their defense on the field initially, so Northeastern will get the ball to start the game. Alex Broomfield deep to receive, flanked by Mark Thomas. A little cloud cover to steer the temperatures a bit more south, and a good crowd filing in to this intimate setting at Parsons Field in Boston. Georgia Southern in the road whites. And we're underway in 2005. Broomfield with space to the 41-yard line. Promising opening for Northeastern. They're guided by a redshirt freshman quarterback, Anthony Oreo, making his college debut. Redshirt freshman from New Jersey. And Bill, the coaches really like his toughness. This guy was a state champion in wrestling in high school.
Yeah, he's a tough kid, and he's got all the skills to be a good one.
Looking for more balance this year as we take a peek at the rest of the skill position. Anthony Riley had a breakout freshman year, then slowed by injuries, but he'll see the bulk of the carries initially. Offensive line anchored by senior left tackle Ryan Gibbons. He's earned all A-10 honors, but there is some inexperience up there. Northeastern opens out of the gun. And a quick hitter to get things started. It's Corey Parks. We'll call his name frequently on this afternoon, and he picks up the minimal gain.
Just get him an early touch, get the quarterback a nice, easy dump pass, pitch and catch on first down.
Gain of 2, second down and 8.
Just a pickup of 2. We touched on the numbers that Parks piled up a year ago.
And they got a little wrinkle there at quarterback. They brought in a second teamer. You know, Anthony Oreo's in there.
Oreo once more from the gun, inside handoff. Northeastern will move the sticks on their initial possession.
Anthony Riley carries across midfield and picks up a Husky first down.
After the first down for Northeastern, the specifics on Georgia State's defense, just 8 career starts among their linemen, but Sherrod Taylor expected to be a force. The linebackers, John Mooring had 4 sacks last year, looking for all conference honors. A.J. Bryant anchors the secondary.
Not the defense, and only gave up 277 yards last year.
Northeastern moving into Georgia Southern's turf to open the game. And it's Riley plowing ahead. He'll get to the 46-yard line. Riley, the senior from Maryland, we touched on what he did in his first year. Back in 2002, was the leading rusher on the squad, 940 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then slowed by some injuries. And historically, this team's been pretty deep at tailback.
Absolutely, and he shared some times last year when he was here with Maurice Murray, who will get some reps here. But Riley's their #1 guy, and they're glad to see him back and healthy.
Second and 7, shifting along that offensive line. Oreo flushed out and throws it away under duress. Good interior heat brought by that defensive line for Georgia Southern. Shaheen Solomon was in the mix.
Well, Joe Chessie, the defensive coordinator for Georgia Southern, said, hey, let me tell you something. You're going to be in a passing situation. We're bringing it on the young guy. Here they come right up the middle. Somebody missed a block right up the gut. I think that was Riley, who released and should have picked up the man coming right up the middle and forced Oreo to very heads up for a young guy, throw that ball up away and not take a sack.
And Taylor, we'll talk more about what he is capable of doing, but the coach is very high on his potential. It's 3rd and 7. 3 wideouts in the formation for Northeastern. Oreo, far better protection this time, airing it out, wide open down the middle of the field. Touchdown, Pat Graham. What a start to 2005 Northeastern.
Well, you got to give credit right there, Brian, to the offensive line. It let Oreo go through his progressions. He looked to his right, then he looked to his left, and he was clean. And he had a mismatch. He had a wide receiver, Graham, against a linebacker, number 47, a good linebacker, but not a fast linebacker, John Moore. And you can see him running right up the right hash, wide open. But that play was predicated because the offensive line gave Oreo time to go through his progressions, and then Graham ran right by the linebacker.
Well, Parks always gets the double coverage, so Graham will have opportunities and some history there. His first career college touchdown. Miro Kessick is a weapon for this team. Straightforward traditionally in PATs, no difference there, but when it comes down to field goals, he could be a difference maker. A dynamic start for a Northeastern team that moved the ball effectively a year ago and continue to chug along nicely as we kick off the 2005 season.
Well, you know what? It had to be a busted coverage because there was no blitz. It looked like they were in zone coverage, and they just lost contain over the top. So either the free safety rolled to Corey Parkside, like you said, he's going to get a lot of attention, and vacated the middle of the field. And you never want a wide receiver matched up against a linebacker 15, 20 yards down the field.
And how about the composure of the young man at quarterback? Yeah. No nerves for Oreo in his initial college start.
That's coming right back after being pressured on second down. He's in the pocket. He looks to his right. Then he looks back to the left. Corey Parks was double teamed. He went right through his progression. The third read, running free right up the right hash.
Well, when you talk to Rocky Hager, he said the focus this year was to try to get more going in the air because this team a year ago had some of that spread option abilities and clicking exceptionally early into the first quarter.
Well, Graham didn't have a touchdown last year. He had 16 catches, and he's going to be looked upon to try and take some of the pressure off of Corey Parks because the teams definitely know what Corey Parks is. So that's a good way for Rocky Hager to start the 2005 season against one of the best teams in the country with a touchdown on their first series.
46 yards for the score. He averaged 13.8 a pickup a year ago, better than 20 per catch in 2003. 5 plays, 60 yards, merely 2 minutes and 5 seconds, all set up by the nifty return to give Northeastern good field position. Kessick with the strong leg, and back to return. Manon Jefferson and Lewis Barr. Well, a year ago, Georgia Southern opened on the road at Georgia and gave the Dogs a major battle between the hedges. Now we'll find out about their composure, looking to rebound after the quick strike by Northeastern. And good kick coverage. Will settle the ball at the 22. Joe Mealy in on the stop. A young man with big expectations will guide Georgia Southern's offense. Jason Foster scored a touchdown in 5 different ways a year ago, but makes his first start. He'll have an offensive line that's dealing with some injuries and some inexperience, and a major alteration in the lineup due to a suspension. Teddy Kraft, the leading receiver of a season ago, will not play due to breaking a team rule. Big hit to start out the game as Foster takes it himself on the keeper.
Well, Jason Foster, you're going to be calling his name a lot. You talk to Coach Hager, that's the guy that scares him. And here's why. Ready for this number, Brian? 4.38. Now, that wasn't your GPA or any mine. That's for darn sure. Maybe the combined GPAs, but that's his 40 time, and that's the quarterback. So that's why he's a concern, and they try to get him outside on the first play.
The details of Northeastern's defense, clearly the biggest graduation loss comes at linebacker as they send Ezekiel on to the NFL, but Mealy already getting involved in special teams, and he had enough talent to take him to Illinois on the Big Ten level. Once more, Foster's there.
What a nice job of hitting the quarterback on 2 back-to-back plays by Northeastern. That time, Lamar Gray coming up from his free safety spot. Just as Foster was going to get a little crease, he lowered the wood to him.
3rd and short. Call it long 2, short 3 from the 27-yard line. For the first time, the pitch comes to Jefferson. He's got space. Turning it upfield for first down yardage to the 39.
Well, you talk to Coach Hager, and he just talks, everybody talks about this offense. It's a triple option offense. Here it is. They bottled up the inside, so they're going to run a quick toss to the slot back in motion around the outside, and that's what they do. If you kind of try and bottle up between the tackles, they'll hold the pitch and get it to the outside, or they'll run a quick pitch like they did there. And this is an offense that has had the #1 rushing offense for the 4 previous years.
How about 370 yards on the ground last year? The closest team to them was Rice at 306, but Northeastern flexes its defensive muscle, hauling in Foster after the short game. And Bill, as you know from your playing days, when you face an option, so much of it is about containment, keeping your lanes, and discipline.
Absolutely, because you don't want to lose contain or what your assignment is. Even though you think the quarterback might keep the ball or not, you got to stay. If you have pitch man, you have to stay on the pitch man, because if not, you will get exposed.
It's a pickup of 3, 2nd and 7.
And you can see there's a check right there at the line of scrimmage by Foster.
In motion, Raja Andrews instead through to the fullback. It's Jermaine Austin, who has done unbelievable things for this team, and clearly he'll be the focus of the offense. Some doubts about his health. A hamstring injury slowed him down during summer camp, but came into this game needing merely 12 yards to become the number 2 all-time rusher in the history of this vaunted program.
He's unbelievable, and you talked about it in the open, Brian, that he had 700-yard games last year. Well, he's got 23 in his career in 32 starts.
Tim Camp spread on the wide side. Instead, it's a keeper. Foster past midfield. Good for the first down. The drive sustained by Georgia Southern, met by Jameel Young, the linebacker. But for Georgia Southern last year, the coaches just had to find a way to get Foster on the field. He started 3 games at wideout. He shined in the kick return game, and quite simply, this young man is an athlete.
Well, you talked about in the open, he scored touchdowns in 5 different ways. Not in a season, or not in a career, in one season as a freshman. Receiving, passing, rushing, punt return, and kickoff return.
It's Jefferson in motion. Instead, major things happening for Austin. The stiff arm keeps him going inside the 5. First and goal there. Georgia Southern finally brought down by Osai.
I think we saw that play in the open, Brian, where he went off tackle, got hit at the line of scrimmage or 2 yards in the second level, and just kept his feet turning. There it is right there. Made somebody miss, and then boom, into the second level. Nobody touching, laying a hand on him, and that's what that triple option will do. A good job of those big guys up front, sealing down. You see that? Look at that hole right up the middle. Jermaine Austin almost to the house. Good tackle there to keep him from scoring at the 3-yard line.
A 43-yard gain. Hager's team will have to sharpen things up here. Foster trying to turn the corner, but tripped up as he moved his way around. And Young showing off his speed defensively.
Jameel Young, he's probably saying, no way. He's coming at me, and he's got a crease. Good job of the motor for Jameel Young to just trip up Foster to keep him out of the end zone. You can see why Georgia Southern is so good, because if you try and take something away, they expose you somewhere else. And then once you try and take that away, they come right back. And a lot of that's predicated by Foster getting a pre-snap read on the defense.
And Young backing up his high school credentials, former Delaware High School State Player of the Year. It's 2nd and goal. Darius Smiley has checked into the game, and he'll hand off, waiting for the signal. Touchdown. Well, a good play for the quarterback, just handed the football off, and Georgia Southern is into the end zone. Brandon Andrews scores.
Well, that's what you call power football at its finest there, Brian Weber. Not one time in the air. They just took the rock. Everybody knows they're going to run the football, but that triple option offense is so difficult to defend, and that right there is why they're one of the best offenses in all Division I AA.
Jonathan Dudley handles the kicks for Georgia Southern. Seawalks team countering Northeastern. And a late player running on the field as there was some miscommunication for Georgia Southern, but they still have a few seconds to tinker with on the down clock, but there's the whistle. Our referee today, Mike Mitchell, an A-10 crew.
You know what? There was no panic there, and so many times you'll see a team or the quarterback or the holder, he'll jump up and they'll call timeout. There's no reason to blow a timeout on an extra point. All you do is move it back 5 yards. That's it.
Well, Georgia Southern has been in situations that are spicy historically, all that championship experience.
Right.
As Coach Seawalk said, any year we don't make the national title game, we have not met our expectations in this program.
That's what I would call shooting for the stars every year. You always hear that saying, well, this team believes it year in and year out. And you talk to Coach Hager, and he said the same thing. This guy and his team believes they're going to win every game.
And a big day for Mike Seawalk. It is his birthday, turning 47 today, looking to put up maybe half 100 on the scoreboard. His team's certainly capable of doing that. Extra point straight through. Well, we talked about offense when we joined you at the top of the hour, and so far this one living up to the billing. 7-7, Georgia Southern and Northeastern on CN8. capacity 7,000. This is the day that the incoming freshmen arrive on campus at Northeastern. Husky pride in display and a good crowd on a Labor Day Saturday. We're glad you carved out some time to join us on CN8. For Georgia Southern, Brandon Andrews adding to his career stats. 9 rushing touchdowns now, the senior from Swainsboro, Georgia. And it's difficult for him to see significant playing time, backing up Jermaine Austin, who does so many things. The 3-yard drive to cap the 9-play sequence, 78 yards, just over. Mark Thomas wears number 1 this year, deep to receive. And Northeastern knew getting involved with this game, and credit them for taking this game with Georgia Southern. A lot of schools do not want to see the Eagles on their schedule, knew that they would have to have their full stamina tested and have the ability to swing back and forth emotionally, and we're seeing it borne out initially.
Well, with Northeastern playing Youngstown State as well, and the A-10 schedule, a lot of people say they had the toughest schedule in 1AA.
Here's Thomas. Cut down quickly prior to the 20-yard line, gets to the 19. John Mooring meeting him on special teams. Well, yeah, you touched on it. Doesn't get easier in terms of tradition on this level, as Northeastern will head to Youngstown State. Think back to what that program did historically with Jim Tressel.
Yep.
First meeting between these teams. An intriguing year shaping up in the A-10. So much talent coming back. Northeastern will have to overcome some expectation issues, pick to finish 5th in the North Division. 2 divisions in this conference, 12 teams comprise the Atlantic 10, so a touch of a misnomer when it comes to football. And not much happening there. Riley met quickly.
Well, you know, it's going to be interesting to see, Brian, how this game progresses, because one of the keys that Coach Hager talked about was his offensive line. They had to be able to do some things up front to give the young quarterback some time to throw the ball and also run the offense. That kind of switched midweek, and you talked about it in the open. There's 2 new guys in there at the center and the guard spot that are both freshmen. So what was a strength coming in, there's some question marks.
And we'll see about the exchange issues, if that comes into play. It's Tyler Perkins who's handling center, but so far he's been nifty with the majority of the snaps coming via the gun. Play action, Oreo puts it up, hauled in nicely. Good hands by the big tight end, Kendrick Ballantyne, the transfer from Maine, playing his first game for Northeastern.
Wow, that's a nice job by the young quarterback, Oreo, the redshirt freshman, out of shotgun. There it is. Throwing it right up the left hash. A great throw and an even better catch by the tight end. As you say, the transfer from Maine. There it is, a little underneath handoff just to hold the linebacker, then throw it right behind the linebacker in front of the corner to that side. That's how you draw it up.
Well, whomever took over at quarterback knew they'd have a good target in Ballantyne, but they also knew they'd have to try to replace what Sean Brady meant to this team a year ago. Keep it on the ground. Pickup of maybe 5 or 6.
It's like Bloomfield.
Yeah, it was Bloomfield, who is a very good get for this team in terms of recruiting. Redshirt freshman out of Miami, team captain at Chaminade High School, Madonna, all-state performer there, 3,900 yards and 42 touchdowns for this guy.
Unbelievable. And they're saying, well, why is he in the game? Well, talking to Coach Hager, Maurice Murray is their number 2 guy, but he had some condition and hydrating problems in camp, and he lost a lot of practice time.
2nd and 3, which is a good passing down. Oreo has time, rolls it out, going to keep it himself, has room, picks up the first down as he leans forward to the 42.
Good heads-up play that time by Oreo, Brian. In the shotgun, recognized he got some pressure from the inside, so kept his composure, rolled to the right, and knew what the down and distance needed to get to the first down, and he got it and picked up a nice first down to keep the drive alive.
Anthony comes from a football family. His father, Tony, a Villanova teammate of Howie Long, noted in these parts.
Oreo played at Eastern High School, which is right where I live, there in Voorhees, New Jersey.
Motion. The whistle never came. Is this a free play or not? Northeastern hopes it's a touchdown. If it is, Pat Graham has reached the end zone for the 2nd time. Now we'll have a conversation amongst our crew led by referee Mike Mitchell.
Didn't sound like there was a whistle. The defensive man jumped. The flags came. Now what they may be saying is an offensive player raised up, but they did not blow the whistle.
Certainly no whistle was heard.
And maybe we ought to see if we can get a replay on that in our booth to see.
And a further discussion coming. That's what Coach Sewak wants clarified as well, and Hager's on the field. He's always an emotional guy on the sidelines.
Well, good job of Oreo and the rest of the offense staying with it, because you play until you hear the whistle. That's what you're coached up to do, and they did just that. And Georgia Southern actually stopped on the outside.
Mike Mitchell leading the men in black and white.
Encroachment on the defense. A penalty is refused. Touchdown.
One of the strangest ways a team could score a touchdown, and Sewak will have plenty to say when his defense returns to the sideline. For the second time in less than a quarter, Pat Graham has scored a touchdown.
Well, you know what? That's a great job that time. Here, Brian, here's what you're told as a center. We're going to get to the kick right here with Mizak, but as a center, if you see the defensive line move, you snap the ball even if the cadence is not there, and you teach your quarterback to get your hands under center just in case that happens.
Well, that goes back to Pop Warner football. This is gridiron 101.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And what you do is you tell your center, even if it's not the cadence and they jump, snap the football, because then it's an automatic penalty. But what happened there is they took it one step further. Nobody stopped. They kept playing. Oreo knew he had a go route on the outside, just threw the ball up there, nothing to lose. Good heads-up play by the offense, the center and the quarterback, and they jump on top 14-7 with an unusual play here to start the game.
And as we anticipated, Coach Sewak wants to coach him up. Another look at how the sequence unfolded.
You see it. You see the defense. Now, the quarterback snapped the ball, or the center snapped the ball. You see everybody's kind of sitting there, almost a la the spike play. Remember Marino against the Jets way back, where everybody stopped? Although that was planned, this was not. But a good job of staying with the play, staying with the route, because, Brian, as you know, it's a free play. Even if it's intercepted or it's incomplete, they're going to bring it back and mark off to 5 yards.
So clearly some communication issues there, and we talk so much about Corey Parks, and he's had a little bit of involvement, but thus far, very nice season opener for Pat Graham, the senior from Indianapolis, was a finalist to be Mr. Football in that basketball-rich state. 16 receptions a year ago, and 2 that have counted so far for Northeastern today. 5 plays, 81 yards, just over 2 minutes. This one is coming together largely as we anticipated.
You know, you talk about that so much, Brian, and very rarely does it happen that you stay with the play. Usually the whistles blow, or the defensive lineman comes across and touches one of the offensive linemen, so they had to blow the whistle. But that time, the defensive guys jumped, offensive line stayed in there, the center snapped the ball, the quarterback's hands were there, and he just went through his progression, and Northeastern gets an easy touchdown to go up on top by 7.
Gesick kicks it downfield. Here's Lewis Barr, lost his footing, rolls it out past the 35, spot him at the 36-yard line.
Tackle there by that number 14 that time, Chris Griffin. A shoestring tackle. He's actually a backup quarterback out there on the kickoff return, or kickoff coverage unit.
The ball is spotted on the 31-yard line of the Eagles. First down and 10.
First and 10 from the 31-yard line.
Go deep.
And nicely read by that Northeastern defense. They were all over Austin that time, led by Matt Campo Piano, the junior from Maine, led the team in sacks a year ago and tackles for losses. Had help from Jay Frank supporting in that linebacker role.
You talked to Coach Hager, Brian, and he said his strength in defense is that interior front. Cook, Campiano, Rich, and of course the new addition, Joe Mealy in the middle linebacker spot.
It's the pitch to Jefferson, who's got space. And there's more speed. He's listed at 4.39 in the 40. Chased out of bounds before he could do more damage.
Oh, and see, there you go again. You bottle up between the tackles. Let's run a quick pitch to the outside just to try and soften you up in the middle. They did that in that first series, and they were able to get a gasher up the middle with Austin running almost to the house on a 50-yard run. So Georgia Southern, their offense has so many weapons, and for every time you do something defensively, they have an answer.
Under 6 minutes left, and what's been a highly entertaining opening quarter on CNA. A little misdirection once more, picking up positive yardage. Marquise Maynard, the 5'8 sophomore, who averages 6.3 a pop, turning it upfield. Let's check in with our man in motion, Murph. What do you got?
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I talked with Rocky Hager before the game about trying to defend this Georgia Southern option, and he said, obviously it is not going to be easy to do. He did see the option twice last year when they took on Rhode Island and when they took on Navy. He said the biggest problem, though, is you can mimic their plays in practice, but you simply can't mimic the speed at which they run it during the games. That is what they are up against today, guys.
Thank you, Greg. That's a really good point as Austin bowls ahead, because that Navy option has a lot in common with Georgia Southern based on the fact that Paul Johnson has coached at both schools.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and this team has been right. I said, why are they so good, Coach Hager? And he did just what Murph just talked about with speed, but he said they've been running it forever. And he said basically it's the wishbone offense with the 2 slot receivers, so it adds whole different dimensions and a lot more wrinkles.
No gain, 2nd and 10, the late pitch. And that was the wise choice as Raja Andrews weaves his way close to first down yardage. Joe Mealy in on the stop. And this goes back to Irk Russell and the glory days of Georgia Southern.
And if you watch it there, boom, they got the dive covered. They got the quarterback covered. Uh-oh, the third option, the wide or the slot back going around the outside, they don't have covered a big 10-yard play. And that's the thing that Coach Hager is so scared about, and the defensive coordinator, Coach Dombrowski. You can have 9 or 10 guys doing the right assignment, but if you have one, more than likely that's where they'll go and that's where you'll be exposed.
Raja Andrews is Brandon's younger brother. He got the first down. Brandon with the lone score by Georgia Southern thus far. They trail 14-7. After finding success on the edge, back straight ahead behind Austin, who is vying for the Walter Payton Award, annually given to the top offensive player in Division I AA football. All time in terms of records for this program, you got to think about Adrian Peterson, who piled up a staggering 6,500 yards before moving on to the Bears in the NFL. Pickup of 3. Jefferson in motion. He gets the late pitch, twist ahead, and it appears he's got the first down. And now you get to the point where Georgia Southern just slowly wears you down a bit.
That's exactly right. And you can see the philosophy right now with Coach Hager. They're running defense from the inside out. In other words, they want to contain the pitch or contain the slot man. They also want to contain the dive guy, and they don't want Foster to be able to gash them in the slot area or in the alleys. So they're forcing him to pitch the ball early, and that's the way they're trying to defend this option attack right now. So it's almost, pick your poison, so to speak, Ryan.
Well, you talked about the history and lineage of this program, and I touched on a great name on this level of football, Irk Russell, real character, and he's still closely connected with the program. And it's been a very seamless transition because Suak enters his 4th year with a 27-10 record, but he goes all the way back to the early days of his career as an assistant here in the mid-'80s. So this program really hasn't had any significant turnover.
That's exactly right. And they basically kept the same type of offense. And when you practice something time and time again, you're going to get good at it, and it doesn't matter what you do defensively. Usually they figure out a way to combat it.
I was generous with the spot. It'll be 3rd and 1 at the 26. Austin, the lone setback. Instead, Foster straight ahead. 1st and 10, Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern picked to finish 2nd in a always competitive Southern Conference. Coming into this game, ranked number 6 in the nation, hoping that Foster can lead this program back to where they are accustomed to being, atop the polls in 1AA football. A little bit more of a passing look here, a pair of flankers split out, and Austin the only man in the backfield. And Austin picking his way for a few. Well, you talked about the change at the top of the Northeastern defense. It's Wally Dombrowski now guiding things as the coordinator, and maybe some mild scheme changes too. They're listed as a base 4-3. We might see more 3 down linemen and probably a lot less blitzing.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Hager, and he said one of the things that he wanted to change from last year is there's so many times they went 0 coverage, which is everybody in man-to-man coverage. He said sometimes we did it 30 times a game. He said it just puts too much stretch and too much pressure on your corner, so they'll be a little bit more balanced, but they'll still blitz, just not as often.
Held Georgia Southern to merely 3 there, and even less on this play. down goes Foster in the midst of a tandem of Northeastern defenders. They smelt that out very nicely. A.J. Little was there, and he had lots of help. Kevin Brown cleaned it up.
You see they faked the dive right there, and Louis was able to get off this block. And you can see him getting cleaned up. Foster in the first quarter alone has taken 4 major hits when he's kept the football. And he's not a big guy. He's only listed 5'9", 164.
Kevin Brown coming out of the secondary to lay the pop there, setting up a 3rd and 7. Straight back. Foster with time, but cannot complete what would have been an easy swing pass coming out of the backfield, and you can see the frustration evident by Maynard because he had a lot of room along that sideline.
Well, there's the thing. Foster is not known as a passer, and either is Georgia Southern. I mean, they only throw a rock 10, 15 times a game, and usually the guys got guys running free, and that's exactly what happened there. Maynard, off the fake, just released down to the flat, was running right up the sideline. Foster just missed him and missed him badly.
It'll be a 37-yard try for Jonathan Dudley, who was perfect last year. 9 of 9, his long 47 yards for the junior from West Virginia. 3 more for Georgia Southern. They creep closer at 14-10 with just under 2 minutes left in the opening quarter.
Brian, obviously, want to give a big, quick shout-out to my ever-expanding family in South Jersey.
I was going to get you there.
All right. Well, I figured I'd lead you in.
Family bonding these days. Congratulations on the new addition. How are Mom and the new baby doing?
They're doing great, and my little guy, Billy, who's going to be 3 in October, is welcomed the new addition, Trent James, last Thursday. And my wife, Jamie, and he are home with my mother-in-law. They're taking care of things, so they allowed me to come to the game here today to work. So if I seem a bit tired, every once in a while, just hit me on the shoulder. I'll wake up, because no matter how tired I am, I'm not tired as my wife back home, that's for sure. So there's no complaining on my end.
Well, this is our first game together. If you're tired, I don't want to see you when you have energy. But
well, welcome to you too. Welcome.
It is great to be with all of us family on CN8, and we have a dynamic season ahead, bringing you the very best across East Coast football. We'll see Northeastern again, and thus far they are playing very solid football offensively and making the right reads on the defensive side.
You're exactly right, Brian. If you're Coach Hager, you got to like the way this team has started the 2005 season. One against one of the best teams in all Division I AA. They lead here with just under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. And as a start, you're never sure your team's going to respond as it is, let alone against a great team. So Coach Hager, I'm sure, is happy thus far.
Dudley's field goal capping the methodical drive. 12 plays, 49 yards, 4:47 off the clock. And Northeastern will elect to take the knee with Broomfield. They'll start at the 20-yard line. Now, we talked about just how different things could have been for Northeastern a year ago. And for all the attention we've paid to Georgia Southern's offense, let's note what the Huskies did last year. Total offense better than 400 yards a game. They averaged 32 points. And as we detailed, a handful of losses that could have gone the other way in the midst of a very competitive A-10 conference that produced the ultimate national champion for the 2nd consecutive year.
Go, go! Go, go!
Play fake to Riley, swinging around to Parks, and there's the speed. Very close to the sticks, picking up 9, maybe 10 on the ground. He's so gifted with the hands, but he has the legs as well, ridden out by Terrence McBride, the cornerback.
Real nice design play. They kind of went away from flow that time. You'll see the fake hand up to Riley. Here comes Parker on the outside. And you'll see the fullback right there. A great cut block that time by number 33, Bobby French, on the second level to allow Parks to get out there and pick up enough for the first down.
Parks on track to hold just about every significant receiving record in the history of Northeastern football. The senior from Miami. This program has had success heading down to the very football talented Sunshine State. There's a gain of 9, but they're not going to get the first down there. Riley was swarmed under by several fellas wearing white shirts led by Jay Mooring.
Last year, this defense only gave up about 121 yards a game on the ground, which is good for number 1 in the Southern Conference. So they practice so much against it in practice, you figure they're good at stopping the run, and they sure are.
fact, that was a loss of 2. It'll be 3rd and 3 from the 27-yard line. Keeper. Anthony Orio gets there. Rolls it out across the 35-yard line.
Again, another nice block that time by number 33, Bobby French. And Coach Hager and his offensive staff, the offensive coordinator, Eddie Davis, says, hey, you know what? You want to run that triple option? We'll run that too. Little whirly bird offense. Orio's a good enough athlete, understands down and distance. Fake the dive, get out to the outside, picked up a nice block, and just enough for a first down to keep the drive going.
We saw it more frequently last year with Sean Brady, who was such a consistent player at quarterback, finished as the school leader all-time in touchdowns, as you see the seconds dwindle down. But coaches really like Orio's playmaking ability and his football smarts. A biochem major, you touched on that GPA. Sparkling stuff. 1 quarter done, 14-10 Northeastern. To the sideline and our man Greg Murphy. Greg?
Well, guys, talking to Rocky Hager before the game, he was not concerned that his team would be intimidated by Georgia Southern, even though they are one of the best programs in Division I AA, but they do have a whole lot of respect for this program. He was talking about how this Georgia Southern program is pretty much what every Division I AA program is aspiring to be. The 6 national titles, all the division titles as well. It's what everyone is aspiring to be. He joked with me, when it comes to Division I AA football, this Georgia Southern team, well, they're the New York Yankees, but we got to get them today. Guys?
Of course, you get a Yankee reference here in Boston as we head into early September and the headed wild card races heating up. And big hit there in the backfield. Murray getting some lumber, but Rocky said some candid things when dealing with the print media quoted about this matchup, saying, I don't know if it's the most important game in NU football history, but it got to be amongst the top.
No doubt about it. You see right there, Murray gets his first carry, and John Mooring says, okay, here I am, all Southern Conference, 64 stops last year. Boom, welcome to the game.
Well, you talked about the conditioning issues for Murray, the sophomore. He was predominantly a short yard guy a year ago, 8 rushing touchdowns, and now trying to play his way into shape here. Lost 4, and that should fire up the Georgia Southern defense. Inside handoff out of the gun. It's Riley picking his way back inside and does well to get back to the original line of scrimmage. So it'll be 3rd and long forthcoming.
Well, Brian, as you know, Georgia Southern, both on offense and defense, is known for their speed. And when you go against a speed team, it's really tough to get to the outside if you have to run all the way like that across the formation. So obviously they're trying to get Georgia Southern maybe sealed inside, but you're not going to run to the outside too often against them.
On 3rd and 9, Northeastern goes 3 wide. Mark Thomas in the game as the 3rd wide receiver. Orio out of the gun. Backside pressure, but beats it going sideline. Parks holds it in, stays inbounds momentarily, but stepped out at the 44 still. 1st and 10, Northeastern.
What a great route and a terrific throw by Orio, who got late pressure from the backside on a blitz that time. He stayed in the pocket and threw a strike. Here it is, out of shotgun. He's looking at Parks all the way to his right. He stopped in there, boom, he let it go. Perfect timing route and a great catch by Parks and tried to get upfield a little bit, but that's what Corey Parks gives you. Even if you have tight coverage, he can go get the football. Big first down gain on a 3rd down throw.
A stellar line so far for Orio, 5 of 6, 137 yards, and the pair of touchdowns, one coming on that busted play. I'll go back to the ground where they've had success as well. It was Riley pushing forward for 6 or 7.
One thing Coach Hager likes, he told me, interestingly enough, this guy is a first-year guy, Orio, a redshirt freshman. But out of the shotgun on that particular play, he said he reads the end better than our quarterback last year. And look at those passing yards, 146 to nothing, and you flip that on rushing yards, it's almost the opposite the other way. But Orio does a nice job that time underneath handoff to Riley, who picked up 6 yards.
On the draw, straight up the gut, Murray. Better results here. Leaning forward, close to the sticks.
Good.
Went into Mooring there. You touched on just how much he means to that Georgia Southern defense.
Yep, no doubt. Good tough running that time between the tackles. Looks like I thought he had the first down. They're going to bring the sticks out to see it, but good job. As you know, you always hear the coaches talk about yak, and Murray does that because he's got a nice low center of gravity that time. Took a couple hits and fell forward for close to first down distance. We'll see if they give him a spot on this. What do you think, your eyes?
Not good.
I say
My eyes aren't good.
I
I'm not sure if it is good. How about that for hedging?
Woo! I was right. You'll learn that this year.
I always defer to the color guy. He's never wrong.
No.
Well, coming in.
I'll be wrong, trust me.
I'll cover you. From the Northeastern perspective, there were question marks about the tailback position because their leading rusher of a year ago, James West, decided to join the Coast Guard Academy. It was always a dream of his to be in a service academy, so they were hopeful that Wiley could step it up, and they wanted to find out about where Murray was in terms of those hydration problems you talked about.
Well, thus far, they've done a nice job back there and kind of a back by committee.
Good enough for the first down yardage. Murray with space. Now he runs with authority into the secondary, rumbling ahead to the 21-yard line, led by Tariq Muhammad, the strong safety from Smyrna, Georgia.
Watch the offensive line right there. Boom, everybody sealing down. The tight end of that side crashed on the outside. Look at this hole right there. You wonder why a guy gets clean? Boom, that was actually the fullback. Boom, the fullback picks up the end. Everybody on that left side crashed down, and that created the seam for Murray to run the football through. Good job of that offensive line and the fullback French on the outside to give him another first down.
Moving it to the Georgia Southern 22. Murray remains in the game, gets it once more, and again a positive result. Leaning ahead for additional yardage, brought down once more by Muhammad. Murray, beyond the touchdown stat we passed along, 8 rushing scores a year ago, did have a pair of 100-yard games against UMass and Hofstra.
Again, the offensive line did a terrific job to free Murray right up the middle. Good job by that offensive line. Coach Hager talked about that being a key, and thus far, early in the ball game, they're coming to play.
Just outside the 10-yard line, so Northeastern can get a first down without having to score. Spotted at the 12. And here's where Georgia Southern will dig in.
Yep.
Tough sledding right into the teeth of that Eagle defense. We've been talking about John Mooring frequently, the junior from Naples, Florida. Preseason All Southern Conference second team performer, had 4 sacks a year ago.
Interestingly enough, Brian, the strength of Northeastern is that offensive line prior to the injuries. And the kind of the question mark for Georgia Southern is that defensive line. So right now it looks like the offensive line is getting the best of these two units right now.
So far.
So far.
2nd and 9. Out of the gun, the inside handoff. Murray plows ahead for a few more, getting closer to those sticks.
Now that right there was just a great individual effort by Murray, because you're going to see John Mooring from the right side. Boom, untouched. And Murray just said, you know what, I can sidestep you, and then there's the hole again by the offensive line. But that time Murray, that's what you talk about running with your head up. If he doesn't run with his head up, he runs right into Mooring, and he probably runs right to the sideline with a headache.
You don't have much of a head probably after that collision. It'll be a 3rd and 3. Bobby French in at fullback. Murray, the tailback, parks in mini motion. Oriole under pressure was looking for French. Incomplete. Good defensive heat, though, brought by Georgia Southern. They found a way quickly into the backfield behind Mooring.
You know, he had French in the flat. You fake that dive, then you release the fullback into the flat, and Oriole just was not able to get his feet set on that time. He tried to throw to a spot, but just too much pressure. He wasn't able to get that pass completed, so now line up for the field goal.
Kessick, merely a 22-yard try. Needs 10 field goals to break the Northeastern record. Closing in on becoming their all-time leading scorer. He's the only kicker in the history of this program ever to receive all-conference honors and straight through. Adding to the Northeastern advantage. They're up a touchdown on Georgia Southern here on CN8. His way in his first college start, but a year ago he was devastating in several facets of the game. Bill, we talked about the combination of athletic ability and speed, and we see it on the kick return to start.
There he is right there. He got hit and boom, right up the gut. There's his 4.38 speed plus some elusiveness right there. This is the quarterback for this team, and he was only a freshman last year. There he goes to the house. As we talked about, he had 5 ways of scoring last year. Here's another one. You get him out in the flank. Last year they had a very good quarterback, and here's another kickoff return. All he needs a crease. That was like you in your playing days, right, Brian? Just give me a crease and you're going to go to the house.
Bill, I just talk loud.
Oh, okay.
I never played the game, as Cosell said.
Well, that guy is a weapon out there, and he's doing a nice job directing the offense for the first time, getting his first start.
Now, when we talked with Coach Seawalk, he acknowledged there would be a learning curve, and we've seen some of it so far. A big stick after Jefferson took it across the 25. It'll be 1st and 10, Georgia Southern there. Good hit by A.J. Lilly. But Seawalk knows all the intricacies of this offense. His career grounded in being an offensive mind. 10 years overall in this program, coupling his assistant and head coaching tenure, 9 playoff trips, 4 national titles, 7 conference titles. We saw briefly Smiley to hand off the touchdown run to Brandon Andrews, but it's been all Foster, and he's handing off to the man who knows what to do with it. Austin brought down, and a late flag comes down. We'll find out about the face mask at the end of that run. Touchdown saved by Bismarck Osai, but what a threat is Austin.
Once again, right up the middle. Great job of interior blocking. Obviously, you don't get a hole that big unless you got some of the big horses up front clearing the way. And as soon as you load up somewhere and somehow either a guy had a wrong assignment or he got hit and they got an edge on him and a linebacker got picked off.
Indeed it was the face mask, but not after 47 yards were covered.
Right down Jump Street, right at you. Good job by our end zone camera. And there's a face mask right at the end. Here it is. Watch how quick this hits. There's Foster under center. Get the man in motion. A quick handoff to the dive man, and boom, he's untouched. Great job of sealing down into the second level and off to the races.
And tack on an additional 15 yards, compounding the damage. This afternoon, Austin already one shy of 100. Well, he has had some mind-boggling numbers, but Coach Seawalk wants more. He said, you had some space in front of you. You got to finalize when it's just you in the end zone.
Yep. That's twice we've seen him getting tracked down.
He does have the tendency to be caught as he's motoring ahead. How about the elusiveness of Foster there and a little bit of a cutback action as he turned towards the end zone.
Well, Foster that time they try to get him to the outside. So you can't guess. You're going to go inside, we'll go outside. You're going to take away the outside, we'll go inside. And I'll tell you what, it's tough to play against an option team, and I did it early in my career as a defensive back. And what they do a lot, Brian, it irritates the heck out of you, your defensive back, is they cut. They cut you on every play if you're in the secondary.
Straight through to Austin, who's back in the game, close to the first down yardage. Well, Austin will not get tired because in a game in high school, he went for 368 yards, over 225 coming in the fourth quarter at OT.
Just when you start getting worn down, you say, you know what? Nuh-uh. He picked it up a notch, and this guy's a workhorse, and you can see his strength is between the tackles.
3rd and 1 at the 5. Foster keeps it close to the end zone. And just shy it appears.
They didn't give it to him. He must have had his knee down. He made it
just short of the goal line.
Good second effort as he tried to take that design rollout by the quarterback.
Well, let's see if they go for the same scenario as last time. They won't have to, I believe. I saw a pair of arms go up, and yes, it appears it's a touchdown.
You know what I think the official probably thought, we just saw it on the replay, that when he got hit, his knee went down, but he never had his knee down. Actually, a defender fell underneath him, and he never touched his left knee down. He just put his left hand down, and a good heads-up play by Foster. Then he spun and got into the end zone.
So a 4-yard touchdown run for Foster. And Georgia Southern just a Dudley extra point away from tying this game at 17. Came into today 56 of 62 in a sparkling kicking career in extra points.
Okay, no kidding.
We're tied at 17.
Here's that touchdown again. Foster on a design quarterback keep instead of staying to the outside. See right there? He got his legs taken out, but his knee never hit the ground. A good heads-up play by Foster, but see the official from that side had his viewpoint blocked. And I think Murph's got something for us too. Down to Murph.
Yeah, guys, just an explanation on that. The head official coming over to talk to Rocky Hager. He said that the one official yelled out he never hit the ground. He misheard him, thought he said his knee hit the ground. That's why they called no touchdown. They went and they conferred. They got the play right. Touchdown. Guys?
Thank you for the clarification. The beauty of having a sideline reporter. We appreciate the information.
Exactly, Brian. That's one thing you want the officials, and everybody has issues with the officials, but the bottom line is you want them to get it right. And that time, that's a good heads-up play. They work together as a team. That's why there's more than one guy out there, and they had the right call.
It was Foster who sealed it, but most of the yardage coming on that lengthy jaunt by Jermaine Austin. It took them just 1 minute and 40 seconds to cover 72 yards, and that's what Seawalk's offense does when it is clicking.
They got 186 yards, as you said, rushing already on 23 carries, and 2 of those were 60-plus, I believe. So you take those 2 big runs out, and the defense for Northeastern is really doing a nice job, but you can't do that. You can't pick and choose your plays, and that's why Georgia Southern is so good, because they can explode for the big one at any time.
Well, we said a year ago these teams combined to average 99 points a game. I'm not good with math, but I think we're on something of that kind of pace.
Yep.
Broomfield from inside the 10, and he saw that crease and accelerated past the 25 to the 28-yard line. Tim Camp making the stop. Well, Bill, let's talk about the Atlantic 10 a touch. All eyes clearly on James Madison, defending national champ. They're picked to win the South Division. Northeastern, part of the North, and there's some major power atop this division when you think about New Hampshire and UMass.
Unbelievable conference. These guys play each other. They bang each other up all the time, and you look at the end of the year, you got 4, 5, 6 teams ranked in the top 25 from one conference, and a lot of them are right in the top 10.
Well, the numbers back it up. The A-10 annually the best 1AA conference. And now Georgia Southern picking up the pace as a couple of hats were right there on Riley.
If you're a Northeastern fan and you have Georgia Southern on your schedule, we talked about this, Brian, in the beginning of the game off mic, is that these are the type of games you want to play early, because a Georgia Southern team is known to be very, very good. So when you have somewhat what some people consider a mismatch, obviously they're not playing that way, you want to get them early in your season. And thus far, Northeastern is doing a terrific job matching up against his powerhouse.
And specifically because one would think Foster's going to find his rhythm as the season evolves. It's a difficult position to have to run that option. Speaking of a running quarterback, how about the Kyle of Oreo? A late flag comes as there was some contact after the redshirt freshman had drifted out of bounds. A.J. Bryant was there pushing him in that direction.
I think that penalty is going to be on number 52, Jason Earwood, for a late hit. But Oreo, they usually tell you to keep your feet, but a nice job jumping. Okay, it was dead ball foul, and here it is on this run. A little whirly bird. This is a design run all the way by Oreo. Great job of running. Boom. Takes the hit, keeps running. This kid is tough. Coach Hager said, and there's that late hit right there by number 52, Jason Earwood. He said that Oreo was a wrestling champ in high school. Okay, now how about this? He said that he went against the state champ 4 times, and all 4 times the game or that match was decided in overtime. So I don't know about you, but I never wrestled, but I played a lot of other sports, but I had the utmost respect for the toughness of a wrestler, and you can see Oreo at a quarterback position, definitely that transcends there.
State champ at the 215 level, and he's listed at 229, and we talked about what he's doing in the classroom as well. Pre-med major. This young man is shining in all areas of his life. Delay handoff, not much to be had by Riley. That seems to be one of the bread and butter designs from Northeastern, and not substantial success so far. Call it a minimal gain of 1 as we've hit the 7-minute mark of what's been a highly played first half. Great to have you with us. Brian Weber, Bill Osborne with you. Halftime, we'll turn it over to Greg Murphy for all the particulars on what's going on around the Atlantic 10 and Southern Conference. Busy day as the college football season is upon us on this Labor Day weekend. Oreo, play fake, right down the middle. Dangerous ball thrown into double coverage, but comes a flag in that direction.
Yeah, it looks like there was going to be pass interference that time. He was trying to hit his tight end right up the slot, number 88, Valentine. But that was a bad read. You made a good point. That was in double coverage. That was a bad read. He got a little predetermined to where he wanted to go with that football. He had Corey Parks. You can see him come right to the left of your screen, right there. Corey Parks is wide open on the dig route underneath. So you had two level routes here. There's Corey Parks running about a 6-yard in route. He was wide open. Fortunately for Northeastern, that ball was not picked, and then they got a break on the pass interference penalty. There probably is some discussion that that's an uncatchable ball.
First and 5. Roughing the pass on the defense. Pass interference on the defense.
Well, take your pick.
Yeah,
Personal foul will be 15.
Yep. That pass interference penalty,
I didn't see anything that flagrant towards the tail end of the play, but I was candidly following the ball.
A lot of times they'll try and grab the arm. Maybe they saw that because he was definitely getting hit down the left hash, but they got a break there. That ball wasn't picked, but again, give Oreo credit.
On the defense, number 52. That's another decline. Personal foul. Roughing the pass. Number 42 on the defense. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
So with the personal foul, tack on the yardage and the automatic first down and move it inside the Georgia Southern 30. 17-17 on a gorgeous day in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Spotted at the 29-yard line of the Eagles. First down, Husky.
Riley, an impressive move down the sideline. The option paying dividends for Northeastern as well. Larry Long riding him out of bounds.
Good job that time. Again, Oreo running the option to the wide side of the field. Riley taking that pitch and going the outside. A good job by Corey Parks on the outside. But watch everybody seal down. They pull the backside guard. Everybody seals down. The fullback that time, number 42, Hopkins, gets a good seal block. There's Corey Parks, number 3, on the outside blocking. Good job. You don't get big runs like that unless you have some people blocking. A nice job of the Husky offense on that particular play.
A 16-yard pickup. Shane Hopkins checking in at fullback. And more success on the ground. Murray straight through. And Hopkins is an imposing figure as the lead back, lining up 6'2", 255 in that fullback spot. He can certainly create some holes.
Hate to be the linebacker. You got to take on that guy on the lead power rush right up the middle between the tackles. Northeastern doing a nice job answering right back after that long drive by Georgia Southern.
Yeah, both teams have had a real nice level of offensive sync other than that strange touchdown. No glaring miscues. And a well-played first half. Option time once more. And Oreo dragged down after he tried to turn the corner. Good pursuit coming. Shaheen Solomon, the 6'2 junior from Macon, who had some difficulties with health a year ago, and the flag also appears to be moving things in the wrong direction for Northeastern.
I think they're going to get number 42, Shane Hopkins, the fullback you were just talking about, either for a hold or maybe he tackled the guy on the outside. Let's see. Now watch here. The producer Bob Johnson said it's going to be coming on our screen here on the right side of your screen. Early bird option. There's the fullback leading up in there. Ooh, I don't know. That's a good job of count work right there, but he looks like that was almost a pancake. I don't know about on that particular play right there, on that replay.
On the offense, number 42, 10 yards from the end of the run. Repeat the down.
Looks like he just put his face mask underneath his helmet, but let's see it again. A lot of times, if a guy tries to get away from you, he'll put his hand. Here he comes, boom, right there. I don't know about that. That's a tough call right there. I saw Hopkins getting up going like, what are they talking about? So, tough call for Northeastern.
But not too long ago, we had that late hit, roughing the passer call, so perhaps things balancing out.
They always normally do.
But moving the ball back. And Oreo straight into the gun. Flanked by Riley and Broomfield, his tailbacks. Heading towards the end zone, another flag comes down. Trying to hook up with Parks running the post.
That's a good call. We'll see if we have it on the replay, but Corey Parks, Brian, was in the slot. He tried to run what you call a corner dig or corner juke, and then he ran to the post, and as he made his juke move to the corner, he was grabbed on the backside. So we'll see. Yep. All right, we're going to show a replay right here. There's Corey Parks on the right side of your screen. He makes a little bit of move. No, that's after the contact. We can see the official in the back of the end zone throwing the flag, and Corey Parks is pointing exactly what I said. As he made his little juke move, he got held.
On the defense. 10 yards. Half the distance from the previous spot. First down.
Well, that's interesting, Brian. The play before, they singled out the player, and here they don't. So if you're that player, like, whew, thank goodness.
But guess what? The officials are playing their way in the form
exactly,
too?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I guarantee you, though, the coaches won't be so kind in the film study tomorrow.
So things bogging down a touch in terms of penalties. Northeastern gets some of those yards back. First and goal at the 9. Murray keeps those legs moving, and they'll get to the 2.
Brian, that was a good job that time by Coach Hager and Eddie Davis, the offensive coordinator, to use Corey Parks as a decoy. We've seen this play in the last 5 or 6 years really be used a lot by a lot of offenses. That time you bring a guy in motion, Corey Parks in this particular situation where everybody knows when he goes in motion. And they bring him, here he is coming off the field right there. They bring him in motion, and they let him run around. They already ran the option or the fake of the reverse to him early in the ball game, so that opened up that hole for Murray between the tackles.
This power formation has Keith Kent at fullback in front of Murray. French in motion. Murray follows his lead, angling towards the goal line, but he's a yard shy.
Trying to go off tackle against his big Georgia Southern defense that time. Good job up front. You mentioned before Sherrod Taylor anchoring that side. That time looked like Brian Kranz was right in the middle of that.
And there is experience on the right side of that Northeastern offensive line. Keith Ford, the guard, a senior, an all-conference performer, and Mike Roseborough really anchoring things at tackle.
Yep.
It'll be 3rd and goal from the 1. Crowd trying to rev up their intensity. Parks heads back on the field.
This play's late coming in, so they're going to break the huddle with about 10 seconds to go on the play clock.
They'll snap it with 5 on the play clock. Oreo towards the goal line. Touchdown Northeastern. A 1-yard run gives the Huskies the lead once more.
Well, the redshirt freshman once again running that option attack, speed option to the right. Perfectly, Oreo faked the dive up the middle and then ran it to the outside. You like to have a little better spacing with your tailback. That time it was Murray, but when you smell the goal line, as Oreo did right there, he just ducked his head and got in. And I got to tell you, for the first half, for a redshirt freshman who's never taken a snap from center in terms of a starter, he's done a terrific job running this offense.
No inexperience being shown so far. Kessick with the extra points. And so far, the young man from Voorhees, New Jersey, shining in his first start for Northeastern. 24-17 on CN8. Touchdown passes and running an additional score in, giving his team the 24-17 edge.
And there he is again. Oreo got a little bit, width on that, but that's because he had somebody crashing down initially, so he had to take it out wide, but he didn't panic. He just came down the line of scrimmage, went through his progression, and when you get that close to the goal line, you smell it, and he did. Gives up his body. We talked about how tough he is and dove in there for another touchdown. And this was a question mark how he was going to. I shouldn't say it's a question mark, because if Coach Hager talked about it on his press conference, and then he talked about it with me during the week, as he said, I really feel good about the quarterback position. Even though we lost the starter, who's been up for 3.5 years, I think Oreo's going to do a good job, and I believe his backup Speranza, if he gets in, will do a good job as well.
It'll be Reggie McCutcheon from the 2. And the wide receiver, not much doing. Slammed into by a special teams unit that's played well so far for Northeastern. Joe Mealy leading the way.
It's interesting when you have your starters out there on the kickoff units and special teams, but nowadays people are trying to get their best players and their best athletes on the field, and Joe Mealy obviously is a guy who's a leader in that defense, but he's out there crashing into people on the kickoff team.
Well, we talked about turnover at quarterback, and for Georgia Southern, they knew they had a good one to replace in Chaz Williams. 13 touchdowns, merely a pair of picks, although they don't throw the ball that frequently a year ago. Former finalist for the Walter Payton Award and spent some time in the Green Bay Packers camp. Well, the level of hitting has picked up too as this one has progressed.
That time they have Jay Frank, who's listed as a inside linebacker. He's 6'2", 240. He took on the big fella up the middle. Sure has a little bit of a headache.
Pick up a 3. Less than 3 minutes to go in the opening half. Misdirection, they turn the other way, but not much happening for Foster. Once more Young leading a defensive unit that's played very smart football for the majority of this first.
We talked about this is a design 4-3 defense, but here they were in a 3-4 defense. That gave an extra linebacker on that second level, and Jameel Young was actually playing up and came in from the outside and crashed down and take Foster down.
And the numbers show just how big a disparity has evolved for this Georgia Southern offense. And while traditionally they have loads of success on the ground, they want to find some semblance of balance. Credit Foster for merely staying on his feet at the conclusion of that play, but he took a major hit once more from Young.
Wow.
And Jackson was there too.
Well, it's interesting, they only threw one pass, and there's their second time dropping back, and Foster's looking, did a good job in Northeastern in the secondary. Everybody was covered up, and this is where he's dangerous, when he gets outside the pocket. Right there, the linebacker took an inside lane. You should stay outside and take contain. I know the defensive coordinator is going to be upset. Foster gets out to the outside and again takes a big hit.
That was a major league wallop.
Well, there's another big hit on the outside. That time, running back number 26, the slot back, Maynard, gets on the outside. And another thing that Coach Hager talked about to me and to you too, Brian, is he talked about it, definitely assignment football. But the other word he used is physicality. He said because that's the way Georgia Southern plays. So if we don't match them physically, we're going to get our butts whipped. Well, thus far, I'd say Northeastern has definitely been on the same level, if not more, in the physical part of the game.
A pitch to the outside. Jefferson sweeps cross midfield. Chased out at the 44. Kevin Brown with the pursuit. Jefferson averaged nearly 10 yards a carry a season ago. And the question, too, beyond the intensity and the physicality, was where would leadership come from on this defense? Because when you lose a player like Liam Ezekiel, you're losing somebody who knows all the intangibles of defensive football.
You're exactly right. They were lucky to get Mealy on the inside. He didn't sign till in June, and he's a transfer from Illinois, and he's done a nice job thus far in this ball game.
Play fake. Foster with plenty of time, shooting towards the post. Just too much on it. As leaning out was Richard Murphy, the wideout. Some depth problems for Georgia Southern, as we noted at wideout, because Teddy Kraft, who led this team in receptions a year ago, unavailable because of a one-game suspension.
There's a fake toss to the outside. Foster sitting in the pocket trying to run a long post pattern that time to his wide receiver, number 83, running that post pattern, Murphy, but it was just a tad bit overthrown. But that'll keep the defense honest, that's for sure.
And here's a wrinkle, back-to-back throws, designed, but they won't have a chance. Foster slips one tackle. Mealy was tenacious and wrestled him down. Timeout, Georgia Southern with 47 ticks left in the first half.
Brian, the key to that play right there is they want to get Foster on the outside. And when he gets dangerous, when he gets outside, but watch the running lanes right here. You see everybody's covered up. You see that time, and that looked like it was Young to the outside that time. He turns everybody to the inside. Look at that contain, and then they roll to the outside. If he would have taken a wrong rush angle, Foster would have got loose on the outside and probably went down the left sideline. So that's the key. If you're going to rush a guy like Foster, be cognizant of the rush lanes because you do not want to over-pursue and let him get to the outside. So a good job in Northeastern that time, running the defense correctly and staying in their lanes.
Well, you talked about the talent that Mealy has. It brought him to Illinois and a Big Ten program. His father played at Rutgers, and he's the guy they're really looking to fill in for Ezekiel, who's now trying to make the Bills. And it's been impressive to watch his playmaking skills and also the smartness we've seen so far.
Yep, Coach Hager mentioned that to us too about, he's a new guy. He got in here late, only had the one camp here, the summer camp, but he says he's very impressed because he understands the defense and he's able to read the checks and get other players into the right lane. That's the first thing I asked him is, how are you going to replace Ezekiel, who's now with the Buffalo Bills and still made the cut thus far? But he said he's done a terrific job, and in some ways, he's actually done a better job with checks. So, nice job by Mealy in the middle.
Well, after the sack, 3rd and 18, so we're going to see a thorough aberration, likely 3 consecutive passes for Georgia Southern. Foster has time towards the sideline, lofts that football, and it's intercepted. Called in by E.J. Jackson, the 5th career INT for the strong safety.
Well, there you can see the limitations of Foster. That was the second pass. Actually, there's 3 pass plays, and all of them were horrible throws. That one, there was no rotation on the ball. It was like a wounded duck. Everybody knows you're going to throw the ball, and that doesn't hurt you because you want to get it down the field anyway, but there was no spiral. Here he is under center. Everybody knows you're going to throw the football. They ran a wheel route, a switch to the front side of the field. Foster, really no pressure. You can see this ball coming down in the double coverage. It was like we used to call a wounded duck. It was just quacking all the way down there, and this was just a jump ball. And give Northeastern credit. Look at that ball. Looks like one of your throws, Brian. That's what your friends told me when you were playing quarterback.
I'm
sorry.
It was intended for Ken Middleton. You see the fullback taking his seat, and it's worth noting we have no punts in this first half.
Yeah, that was, I guess, what you consider for Georgia Southern was a punt. Good job, E.J. Jackson going to get it. And Northeastern enters the call here against this vaunted Georgia Southern powerhouse.
Well, if you like entertaining, high-powered football, you've come to the right place because this has been an offensive showcase so far. But both defenses doing what they've had to do at the opportune moments. And that'll do it for a promising opening half of football for this season for Northeastern. After they went 5-6 a year ago, they've moved the ball well behind an impressive display by their redshirt freshman quarterback, Anthony Oreo. 5 of 8, 137 yards, a pair of touchdowns in the air. Punch one more in on the ground. And Georgia Southern undoubtedly will be looking for more offensive consistency and to see if Foster can pick up the play. Let's head down to Greg on the field.
Okay, with the coach, and Coach, you've got to be pleased. Let's start with the offense and your young quarterback, the way they move the ball in the first half.
Well, I've had a great deal of confidence in Anthony all along. He's a guy that has been in some real tight spots in his previous athletic career in high school. He's shown that he's very poised right here.
What about your defensive play? 17 points, but they look like they've handled themselves pretty well.
Well, we've handled ourselves pretty well with the exception of about 4 times, and it's about the same thing that happens every year when we play this type of offense where someone forgets to take care of the dive and the fullback gets away, or somebody forgets to take care of the quarterback and he gets away. Thank heavens it's been the fullback, and we've been able to run him down and tackle him. But we got to get that stuff straightened out. For heaven's sakes, this should not be 24-17. I do believe we ought to have them down around 10 or maybe even only 7.
There you go. Okay, get in there, talk to your team. Coach, thanks for the time. Best of luck in the second half. 24-17 is our halftime score. We've got CN8 at the half coming up just after this. More college football. Stay with us.
Factor into this equation. A year ago in the opening half, Georgia Southern outscored their opponents 343-98. So seeing a bit of a change on this afternoon at Northeastern. Getting set for the start of the second half. We'll come back with more particulars and get you fully lined up for the opening of the third quarter. Straight ahead. We're back on CN8. On 9 of its last 10 season openers, 9 of their last 10 home openers, trying to keep that momentum rolling as we get set for the start of the third quarter. Bill, in broadcasting, I think it helps to know your right from your left.
Okay.
So you can see the production crew assembled.
Yep,
that's our vantage point.
They're going up on their lift right there.
The game cam, to use television terminology.
Right.
However, that's where we are.
Yep.
Inside the intimate quarters, the press box.
That's us.
It's a very flattering shot of our back to where the athletic administration and its boosters want it to be after Rocky spent 7 years at Temple as an assistant coach. We'll see the Owls in a few weeks as our season moves along here on CN8. You'll recall that Georgia Southern won the toss deferred. They get the ball to start the second half. And it's pulled in by Jefferson. And he's 2 yards shy of the 20.
Got a couple scores to report from around the country in the Patriot League. Holy Cross over Sacred Heart, 49-21. That's in the third. And it's Lehigh 34, Monmouth 17. That's also in the third. Of course, interest around here, Boston College plays a little later today against BYU. That game's kickoff at 3:30, so we'll get a score for you there. And some top 25 teams. Oklahoma behind TCU in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes to go, 17-10.
Certainly unexpected in that one. The pitch to start the second half. It's Marquise Maynard turning upfield. Well, Murph ran down everything going on in this conference at halftime. The other game that stood out for me, and it's the old body bag adage, Maine at Nebraska, 7 p.m. our time, where the Huskers have piled up 269 straight sellouts. There'll be more people in Lincoln, I think, than comprise the state of Maine.
No doubt.
It's a pickup of 6. 2nd and 4. String it back to Maynard. And he's feeling it to start this second half, running with intensity.
They come right out.
Young
outside,
wrapping him up.
Yep, right, come right out in the outside toss play. There it is again, trying to use their speed to get to the outside. Receivers downfield blocking. They got some of the linemen down there, and Jameel Young. My goodness, is he all over the place hitting people. There's some great blocking downfield. Cut block there, offensive lineman, and then he left the ground, and here comes Jameel Young. Says, are you ready? Boom.
Austin, straight up the gut. 4 tough yards. Well, Young has been a mainstay in this Northeastern defense, appearing in every game heading into this one. The junior from Bridgeville, Delaware. We'll see the Blue Hens next week on CN8, and they hope to be a factor in the A10 title race again, just a few years removed from that national championship.
Yep, 7 o'clock kick down there in Delaware. It's always a festive event when you go to a Blue Hen game down there at home.
Foster making those adjustments. He made the right choice. Austin stays on his feet, shakes another tackle, turning up the speed, heading towards the end zone. Touchdown, Georgia Southern.
Just what Coach Hager talked about as he went off at halftime, saying, we let the dive man go a couple times. We can't have that happen. Thank goodness he didn't take it to the house. Well, that time, once again, they missed the dive man, and this time, he does take it to the house. A huge run to start the second half by Jermaine Austin, and he's up over 150 yards, I believe, as he gets Georgia Southern on the board first here in the second half.
And that is vintage Georgia Southern football, 60 yards for the score. Dudley to tie the game. A.J. Bryant is the holder. 24-24 in a hurry.
And here he comes again, right off left tackle. But this time he actually breaks 2 tackles and stiff arms another man, and then he downshifts, and the big guy lumbering. Is he going to make it? Yes, this time he finally makes it. Here it is again. This is why you got to know your assignments in the triple option. Somebody needs to get the dive man. A good lead block that time by the backside guard. He seals down. He bounced off of 2 players, and again the stiff arm, and he's off to the races to the house. The Eagles come out first here in the second half with a big, long touchdown by Jermaine Austin.
Earlier, Osai was able to save a touchdown. Not there, as we saw the power of Austin coupled with that speed, and showed he can finalize when it counts. And that is what Georgia Southern can do. It took them just a minute and 39 seconds. 81 yards in 4 plays. Austin piling up the majority of those.
Well, you know, you and I talked about it, and I don't know necessarily if that was coaching per se, because there was 2 guys there that could have stopped that to about a 6-yard, 7-yard gain. But a lot of times you come in and you say, okay, this guy's peeling, this guy is leaning this way. Let's bring up. So maybe that time they blocked it a little differently up front. They were able to pull the guard who sealed down, and then Jermaine Austin, just his, his toughness and his athletic ability, was able to do the rest. And Here's Georgia Southern answering the call to start the second half.
He had 5 rushing touchdowns a year ago, his first in 2005, and this game gets spicier. Thomas and Broomfield set to return. And that is a young person's mistake. Wow. Taking a knee outside of the end zone, Alex puts Northeastern in atrocious field position.
Well, totally different than the way the first half started with a big return to the 40-yard line and then a score. And here is, as you talked about, the young fella, not sure where he is, does not understand, not sure if he's in the end zone or not. And that is a big mistake by Broomfield. And now instead of great field position to start the first half, the second half, you couldn't ask for worse, the ball at the 3-yard line.
He is just a redshirt freshman, so making the adjustment to D1 football, but a costly mental error. Have to know where you are on the field. So let's see what Northeastern elects to do to create some breathing room. And it is Broomfield with a chance at minor redemption, gives them some space.
And Brian, here's something, yes, he's a young guy of Broomfield. In some stadiums, the end zone line is a different color. And as we're looking at it, there's some yellow on the field, but you can see right there, the end zone line is basically the same color as the 5-yard line. And I'm not, that was a mistake. But you see there's a lot of lines on the field because it's a multi-purpose field. But there's no difference between the 5 or the end zone. He's not sure, and that may have played into the fact that he thought he was in the end zone and took a knee.
Yeah, it didn't look like he got faked out by soccer, field hockey, lacrosse, or rugby. No 22 drop in college football. Gate of 3. Oreo rolling out towards the sideline. Parks, the intended receiver, but that ball once more hung up, and Barr was the closest man to the football. He had 2 picks a year ago for Georgia Southern.
Well, it was a 2-receiver route. That time, Corey Parks was running up the sideline, and number 87, Pat Graham, was running up the numbers. And Oreo rolling to his left, getting his feet set, threw that ball just too far inside. That ball needed to be thrown about 3 yards more to the outside. You see Corey Parks running right down the sideline. Fortunately for Northeastern, that was not intercepted.
Third and 7 from the 6. Oreo in the shotgun. Corner blitz comes, but Northeastern keeps it on the ground. Riley, first down. Pardon me, it's Broomfield turning it upfield.
Wow, that was a terrific play call and great execution, because if they're backed up there, this game could go any way. That time, Oreo faking like the toss to his left, and then the underneath handoff to Broomfield, the player who made the mistake, comes back with a big run, picking and choosing, letting his big guys up front seal down, and that is a huge first down for the Huskies here in the second half.
Gets him out to the 21-yard line. And certainly a minor momentum shifter, because that would have been an awfully dangerous punting situation.
You're exactly right, Brian.
Hopkins in motion. And on the fake, Oreo keeps, sprints towards the sideline and picks up a few. Fred Bussey in pursuit.
Well, that's a nice job thus far of Northeastern, kind of answering that, that shot to the gut by Georgia Southern, coming out, scoring on their first series, then taking that bad play by the young fella and almost be forced to punt way back in your own end zone. The field position will be totally shifted to Georgia Southern. They have some breathing room, and that's a lot because of Oreo.
Anthony Riley has checked back into the game at tailback. More alignment shift as the tight end Ballantyne takes a 3-point stance. It's Riley. Very intriguing setting for Northeastern football. A residential field. There are houses surrounding this venerable facility. Some folks can just wander out to their back porches and soak in the action, a la Wrigley Field. It'll be 3rd and 3. And both teams trying their best to stay cool. Parks in motion, play fake it to him. Oreo lets it go. Riley for the first down. Out to the 37-yard line. Well-designed play yields first down yardage.
Another terrific play call by Coach Hager and offensive coordinator Eddie Davis, and Oreo ran it perfectly. You use Corey Parks again as a decoy. They've run that before, a great job, and then you give Oreo the run-pass option. That time he snuck out Riley out from the backfield on a misdirection. He throws a strike. Look at everybody flowing that way. Oreo's able to get outside and just flips the ball out there to Riley to pick up another big first down for Northeastern. Terrific play call and awesome execution by the Huskies.
And no gain for Broomfield. So for the front four of Sherman, Taylor, Kranz, Solomon playing well. Number 91, Sherrod Taylor, a very intriguing story defensively. He's 25 years of age, a Navy veteran, served aboard the USS Cole. You'll recall that 17 sailors died in that terrorist attack at sea. He's put on 30 pounds since coming to Georgia Southern, and some folks think he could play on the next level if he continues to round his way into form. And he was involved there. Oreo flushed out, takes a pretty big pop at the 37-yard line, does well if, in fact, he did get back to the original line of scrimmage. Krantz in pursuits, but Taylor was right there as well.
This is a team that only gave up, an offensive line only gave up 16 sacks in 04. That time Oreo got a little bit of pressure, but he was able to make something out of nothing and not give up the sack. There's his numbers thus far, 6 of 10 for 145 and 2 TDs, no interceptions, and he's also doing it on the ground. And for a young guy, a redshirt freshman, he's done a nice job thus far directing this offense. There's Coach Saywalk saying, deciding to decline the penalty.
Illegal formation. 6 on the line on offense. That penalty is refused. Third down.
That's usually a wide receiver who, when he lines up on the outside, you got to ask the official that side, am I back far enough? And he probably just covered him up, and that's where you get 6 men on line of scrimmage.
Plays in the Arena League or Canadian football.
Exactly right.
Different rules outside the 50-yard indoor war.
Exactly.
Our fans in Philly enjoy Bill's work.
Had a fun time calling the Philadelphia Soul this year.
Mr. Bon Jovi hopefully gives you the good seats when Richie and the boys get playing. It's a 3rd and 9 from the 37. Setting up the screen. Broomfield short of the first down. Well read by Lewis Barr, the senior from Winston-Salem, making the stop.
I tell you what, Brian, a great call and very well designed, but took too long to develop because they were out there. They got both defenders on the ground, but Oreo did not get the ball in time to Riley, or he had to jump for that ball, and just that 1 or 2 second hesitation allowed the defenders to get back up off the ground and make the tackle short of the first down stick.
For the first time in this football game, we have seen a punter. 586 total yards, and White did well just to get that ball out of there. It's Barr at the 18-yard line. He's not going anywhere. Meeting up with his counterpart, number 2, Charlotte, the reserve cornerback for Northeastern. This one getting tighter, 24-24 on CN8.
Backer number 47, or outside linebacker John Mooring, the stop, but that is what you're taught defensively. When you get cut or you get on the ground, get back up. He did it to a T, and if it wasn't for that, that would have been another first down, and the Husky drive would have continued. Instead, the punt team came out, and Georgia Southern's offense is on the field.
After the 40-yard punt, Georgia Southern takes over at the 23-yard line, and they're moving upfield once more. A series of nifty moves. It's Maynard close to midfield, but did the ball come loose at the end of that play? That's what Northeastern is indicating. No signal as of yet. And our officials confer.
Okay.
Mike Mitchell will let us know.
They just said the Eagles kept the football, and that's it. Something's going on with Georgia Southern because they're getting to the outside. Another great blocking on the outside. And here you can see cuts back on the inside. The goalpost is in the way. That's a fumble. Now let's see what happened. That ball is a fumble, and the Huskies just did not recover it before it went out of bounds. Good job by our camera work, even though the goalpost was in the way there for a second or two. Way to stay with the play.
That's where they were on the correct side of the field. Forget about that right-left stuff.
See, in training camp, we teach our cameramen to stay with the play. Get up off the ground.
Look at the numbers continue to head north of 300 for both teams. Maynard after the run up to 35 yards in this one for Austin. 167 yards ties him for second most in a single game in his career. He went for 207 against Florida International in 2003, make it the 24th game in his career over 100 yards.
And a lot of that is the scheme. I mean, he's a great runner, and that last time he scored that touchdown, he bounced off a couple guys, but the scheme, that offensive line does a great job, and that misdirection does allow some lanes to be formed, and he takes advantage of it.
It'll be 2nd and 8. And here comes the hanky. Looked like movement on the left side of that Georgia Southern line.
False start. Number 69 on offense. 5 yards from the line of scrimmage. 2nd down.
And that's
Dane Jensen, the sophomore tackle, making his first start. He's from Jacksonville.
You can see the. But as we talked about on that one shot, the camera crew is actually on the opposite side of the field. So that's why you see the referee's back instead of his face.
I love it when you teach geometry. Very helpful to the young people. Play fake. Foster has time. Another wobbly delivery. A dangerous football that could have been intercepted. McCutcheon was the intended man, but it was not nearly close.
Well, they try and take advantage and get you to lull you to sleep with that option attack and then throw the ball down the field. But you got to have somebody get the ball out there. McCutcheon that time running down the right hash was wide open. But once again, Foster throws a duck. You can see that thing's just starting to lose steam as it's out there. McCutcheon's like, yo, get that ball out to me. I had him, and he did have a step right down the right seam. Foster, that's not his game, but he'll develop. He's a young guy too. Right now he's got just sheer speed, and he's able to run this option attack, but he'll develop his passing in his arm.
Well, it was a pass like that E.J. Jackson was able to capitalize upon for an INT. 3rd and long. And here comes some whistles and a timeout. Georgia Southern, their first of the second half.
Georgia Southern.
It's a good call by Coach Seawalk. You know, this is a big 3rd down play. They don't want a turnover. And, you know, field position always comes into play. So this is the real big 1st, 3rd, and long situation. And with a young quarterback, you want to make sure he understands what we're trying to do and not throw a turnover.
Well, Georgia Southern has won the SoCo. It sounds good on a Labor Day afternoon.
SoCo, I like that.
Southern
yes.
Conference, 7 of the last 8 years. Co-champs with Furman. Furman the pick this year in both the coaches and media preseason poll. 8 teams in the Southern Conference. A year ago, it was Furman losing in the first round to James Madison as they put together that brilliant run on their way to the national title. Northeastern has only made the postseason playoffs one time in school history, and that's one of the elements I really enjoy about 1AA football. No BCS, BS. We know who the champion is.
I'm with you. I love it. Everybody's always asking me, what do you like? I hate the playoff, or I hate the this BCS stuff. Let the guys play on the field. That's why March Madness is so exciting.
They crowned that champion at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. And despite the obvious passing down, Georgia Southern elects to run the football. Austin needed 13, only got 1 or 2. A.J. Lilly smelt it out.
Well, Coach Seawalks, they don't like to be out of their comfort level. And 3rd and 14 is not their comfort level, trust me. And so he said, you know what, we got a young cornerback. This is a tight ball game. Let's not make mistakes. We're on the road. Let's go to our bread and butter, and if nothing happens, we'll punt the football away.
And they do have a weapon, one of the premier punters in 1AA football, and Dan Jordan led the Southern Conference last year at 41 a boot. Had a 68-yarder against Furman, a former walk-on from Evans, Georgia. High angling kick. And credit Broomfield for making the catch, but he was 5 yards out of bounds. It'll be spotted squarely at the 20-yard line.
Well, teams now have one punt in the books, and now Georgia Southern's defense, see if they can get a stop here.
38-yard delivery, and a Georgia Southern player is down. It's Sherrod Taylor.
It looks like he's got a cramp. Either that or it's his left calf. And I was going to say a little earlier, yeah, that's a cramp. You can just tell. See how the trainer right there is holding that left leg? And let me tell you something. That is painful. I was very prone to have cramps and when I played. And one time we played at BYU, I had 5 cramps. I had it so bad I had to go into the locker room and get an IV and come back 5 minutes later. And that was one thing I was going to talk about. As this game rolls on, the fatigue factor is definitely going to kick in, and these cramps will start happening more often.
Well, Georgia Southern accustomed to heat, and let's head down to a guy battling those conditions, Murph.
Yeah, I am indeed, guys. And Bill, you just brought it up about the cramps. You're looking at number 4, Lamar Gay, the free safety for North.
Really helps, Brad. Believe me, I know.
Thank you. Keep your fluids in you, Murph, and I don't mean that Budweiser that you like to partake in here and there.
Oh, I'll put that down now then.
Yeah, that's the better way to get hydrated. Taylor, a large man, as you saw, having difficulties being helped to his feet. 6'2", 275, the Navy veteran, and walking in obvious pain. But in terms of hydration, Georgia Southern, well equipped to deal with it. They're one of 9 colleges that has spent money on a air conditioning system, in essence, and they have it along their bench. We can see it directly in front of us that allows players to come over, stick some tubing into their uniform.
You can help you with cramps is fluids, and if it can't get into you fast enough, you get an IV in you, and that'll get right inside, and hopefully he'll be back on the field.
Jerry Barker backs up Taylor. It's Riley pounding off tackle for a few. But Georgia Southern certainly accustomed to the heat during their training two-a-days. In the midst of the humidity of the South, they dealt with heat index scores in excess of 100 with regularity.
And we're looking at Taylor, and he looks like he is just, let me tell you something. When you cramp up, it can overtake your body. And it's 1, 2, sometimes 3 in the same leg. And I've been there, and you can't walk. And you say to yourself, it's only a cramp. Trust me, you get 2 or 3 in the same leg, it takes you right off your feet.
Yeah, he's having major difficulties getting up. Going down is Oreo. Solomon wrestles him down. The 6'2 junior from Macon, Georgia.
Well, again, we talked about the offensive line for Northeastern only giving up 16 sacks all of 04, and there's one right here. Coming off the corner, coming from his backside. He never saw him, and as he did, it was just too late, and the big fella just racked him up and said, "You're not going anywhere." Solomon with the big sack, setting up a 3rd and long situation.
He had to play through concussion issues a year ago, but where's that 88 and has speed that you would think of more familiarly with a wide receiver. 3rd and 22 after the sack. 3 wides. Oreo from the shotgun. Towards the sideline, caught and close to the sticks. I think Parks got there. It's a favorable spot. It appears to be good for the first down.
Wow, a great 2-man route to the wide side of the field to the front side. Oreo out of shotgun, stepping up in there and delivering a strike to Corey Parks, and you say to yourself, how does he get that wide open? Well, here he is. He's the inside receiver, running the, what you call a speed cut out. Great job of the front receiver clearing out the corner to that side, and then in essence, it's just man-to-man coverage, and there's Oreo. He's waiting for the outside receiver to clear the corner to that side, and he knows Park's going to run right underneath his butt, and he just threw it to a spot. That's a big first down game for Northeastern.
Moving the sticks. Did Northeastern beat the play clock? They wanted to indicate timeout. And Mike Mitchell did not turn on his mic initially. Meantime, the card has been drawn out for Sherrod Taylor, as we touched on, having major difficulties with the cramping.
Illegal substitution, 12 men on the field against the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
And the only thing you can do there, Brian, is you see what the trainers are doing. They got his feet, they got his toes. You bend that back to keep it stretched. But the only way that big fellow is going to get back in the game is if they go inside and hook up an IV. He needs to get a bag or 2 of fluid and then run him back out here. If not, he won't be able to continue, because every time he runs or he cuts, he'll get another cramp.
And he can be a force. They call him Big Swole. He's so built up with that muscular development on the keeper off the option. It's Oreo after Northeastern was moved back 5 yards due to having too many men on the field. And it appeared he got 6.
But how about that big first down pickup from Oreo to Parks again on that play before that? That's twice now they've connected on long third down plays to keep drives going. That is a thing that keeps momentum and keeps you in the ball game, because again, that would have been a big field position swap. And as it is now, they got a second and about 8.
Yeah, call it 2nd and 8. Play action. Oreo rolls. Could run, instead throws. It's the tight end, Ballantyne. Moving ahead to Georgia Southern turf, spotted at the 45-yard line. Mooring in on the stop.
What a nice design play. Here it is, rolling to your right. This is called a flood route. You have the fullback right there on the flat. You have the tight end dragging across right there where he threw it to, and the outside receiver runs a go route. You can see it right here. 1, 2, and you'll see right in your left-hand corner another red shirt, number 87. That's Pat Graham. He was running the go route. So that's a flood route to the wide side of the field, and then Oreo just goes through his progressions. Short throw, medium throw, long throw. That time he picked the medium throw to the tight end and picked up the first down.
Ballantyne, 2 grabs, 49 yards in his first game for Northeastern. Oreo back to the air. Incomplete, was looking for Graham, who scored twice in this game but could not hang on.
Good defensive play that time on the outside by the corner to that side. I think it was Middleton on a comeback route to Graham. Actually, it was McBride. And now Northeastern trying to throw a couple more wrinkles in there and throw the ball through the air a little bit more than they did in the first half.
Oreo's stat line up to 9 of 14, no picks, 194 yards, and the 2 first half touchdowns. On the draw, Murray with room. First down and more to the 32-yard line. Running into the secondary with power, A.J. Bryant's finally making the stop.
So what they have done, they took advantage of the fact that they've thrown the ball 3 or 4 times in the last 2 series, so they run the draw play. If you haven't been throwing the ball, they wouldn't have respected that little draw, kind of a little hop skip by the quarterback, but that time right up the middle, a great job of blocking up front with the draw read. And Northeastern Huskies, again, another first down inside the 35-yard line.
Murray, 10 carries, averaging 5.2 a rush. A 5'11" sophomore. Another good play fake. Oreo disguises that football well. It's Parks. And he'll plow ahead to the 17-yard line, met by Tariq Muhammad, the senior from Smyrna.
Well, usually with that play fake, Brian, that will draw in a linebacker. And that's exactly what happened. Then Corey Parks, you see the linebackers come up, boom, and then he just vacates, and Corey Parks right in the curl zone, right where the linebackers are. So a good job of play faking by Oreo, then to get his body around. Good job of faking that time by Murray as well. Gets his shoulder square, throws a strike to Parks, pitch and catch, makes it look easy.
Well, you spent some time with the Philadelphia Eagles, the best I ever saw. They called him the magician, Steve DeBerg. Could make that football disappear.
And a guy who's playing now is Manning for Baltimore. How many times you see him play fake free safeties and linebackers out of their socks?
The pitch option to Murray, who breaks 1 tackle but not 2, met by a tandem of defenders. T.J. Rutledge was one of them. Rutledge, the senior from Kennesaw, former walk-on, has been slowed by injuries, had 2 redshirt years, and waited his turn to take over after Derek Butler graduated, doing marvelous things for this program. Inside 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Northeastern 24, Georgia Southern 24. And there will be no duplication of the free play for touchdown.
He tried.
That time the whistle's coming. If you weren't with us early, a similar scenario unfolded, and it resulted in a 42-yard touchdown as Oreo had the presence of mind to find Graham during the free play.
Dead ball.
Good.
Encroachment on the defense.
Boy, it is hot out here, and give Oreo credit for that hard count. You can see these guys, they are sucking wind right now. A lot of guys with their hands on their shoulders or on their pants. I mean, these guys have been out there a lot today, and it's only going to get worse here with 1 minute and 42 seconds to go in the third quarter. That fourth quarter is going to be a long 15 minutes, and CWAC is looking on very anxiously because he knows his team now is in a dogfight. If he didn't know it before, he knows it now.
2nd and 3 from the 10. Hopkins in motion. Inside handoff, Murray. So just as he was a year ago, Murray emerging as the short yardage option after he punched in nearly 10 scoring tries on the ground in 2004.
This is going to be interesting, Ryan, because you got to say to yourself, is it 4-down territory? They're a little short, it looks like, of the first down. Ooh.
But they're heading back the other way.
Yep. Oh, that's tough, because now that would have set up a 3rd and short situation. So they're going to replay 2nd down. Looks like 2nd and 9 right now, bro.
Officially 8, but back to the 15. Looking towards the corner, caught, but not much happening there. On the business end, Pat Graham.
Well, he went to an audible, and it looked like it was just a quick game audible. Went to the short side of the field to Graham, and that's going to set up a 3rd and 2 or 3. So this is not an easy play right here. Now, if you're Coach Hager, you got to decide you're going to run the football, and if you don't pick it up and you're just a little bit short, are you going to run your kicker out there, or are you going to go for him 4th down?
Tough to leave points on the field at this stage of the game.
Absolutely.
Specifically because Kessick is so reliable. It's 3rd and 2. Broomfield, the sole setback.
Watch the hard count.
Parks in motion. Oriole looking his direction, and he takes a major hit. He's close to the sticks. Credit Corey Parks for hanging on to that football as he was railed by Lewis Barr.
Well, this is going to be close, but you got to give Oriole credit, and you got to give Parks credit, because Oriole had no chance to throw that football with his feet set. He had to just let it go. So we'll come back with a replay, and you'll see. Great job by those two guys.
And when we come back, this drive will continue. That was good for a 1st down. Should be a dynamic 4th straight ahead on CN8.
Hey, play, and what a huge play, again, by Oriole and Parks to get rid of that football, to catch it, hang on, and enough for the 1st down to keep this drive alive.
1st and goal at the 5. Both teams have been flawless inside the red zone this afternoon. A year ago, Rocky's team 42 of 52, resulting in 32 touchdowns. Parks often very reliable in these timing type routes. We'll see if that is something they look to employ. Corey Parks now with 5 grabs for 65 yards. Murray gets it. He's got space. He waltzes into the end zone. Touchdown, Northeastern. They're back on top.
Wow, good job of blocking up front. Murray just went in untouched. That's how you draw it up on the board. Right up the gut, and there's your short yardage back, and you take that big play on 3rd down, and Murray takes advantage of it there on 1st down and puts 6 points on the board.
Miro Kessick, the senior from Rocky River, Ohio. The punter, White, holds. Murray, his first score of this year after he punched into the end zone on 8 occasions last year.
Good lead block that time by the fullback, number 42, Shane Hopkins. And look at everybody sealed down up front. Look at it again. Out of eye backs. Boom, started to his right, cut it back to his left. A good job by the center. Kicking down, I think that was Perkins in there. And then the backside guard, Art Diaz, and the front side guard, Keith Ford. Here it is again from another angle, the end zone shot. Good job of sealing down a double block on the outside by the left tackle, Ryan Gibbons, who's the senior. And that's what you expect from your senior. If we come your way, you got to be able to take care of not 1 but 2 guys. And that offensive line, what Coach Hager talked about being a strength coming in, and then you had the 2 guys who were freshmen had to step in for guys that are injured, Perkins and Diaz. Really the difference thus far in today's ball game for Northeastern.
Yeah, you touched on the significant injury up there. Offensive tackle Bob McDonough out. He was an anchor for 11 games starting a year ago. He won't be back for nearly 2 months because of a hernia. Nice to see the learning progression by the youngsters up front. Pivotal in that 13-play, 80-yard drive. 5 minutes and 47 chewed off the clock. Murray from 5 yards away.
And think about a couple of the big plays, Brian, to keep that drive alive. That 3rd and 12 to Corey Parks on the outside, a bang-bang play, and then that 3rd down play right there inside the red zone, inside the 10-yard line to keep the drive. So instead of 3 points potentially right there, they get a touchdown and keep that 7-point cushion over the Eagles.
And that is the value that Parks has on this team. Even though it's not a dazzling stats day, it's his presence that means so much.
Oh, they've used him 3 or 4 times as a decoy.
It'll be Jefferson. Loses his footing and down he goes, and he had room out there at the 23-yard line. The field gremlins get him on this synthetic surface.
Boy, he had it sealed down too. He could have got to the outside right in front of the Eagle bench, but as you said, we used to call them turf monsters.
Updating it.
Yes, updating it. We didn't have this beautiful grass. We just played on hard turf on top of an inch foot of cushion, or an inch of cushion
cement,
on top
right?
of cement. Yeah, green cement, exactly.
Yeah, this is a fabulous new playing surface that, as you touched on, was installed in 2001. Astro Play is the brand name. Rajah Andrews in motion. Foster running in that direction, turning on the speed to the 39-yard line, and that is his playmaking skill, brought down by Barry Jackson.
So Foster, again, able to get to the outside with that 4.39 speed. A good job on the outside sealing down. This is the design run the whole way. Had the lead blocker with the fullback, Jenkins, and he had the slot man out there blocking at the flank. He's able to pick up a big gain on 1st down.
Yeah, Foster still looking for his first completion. 0 of 4 in the air, and the interception at the tail end of the first half. And he'll call his own number once more. Pass midfield, knocked out of bounds at the 48-yard line. It was Charlotte putting his helmet down defensively. And a late flag coming down, too, at the tail end of that play.
Oh, that is big penalty against the Eagles. Personal foul, too. That had to be a dead ball foul, right? Must have been after the play.
Dead ball. Personal foul, late hit. 67 offense. 15 yards from the end of the run. 1st down.
Yeah, that's just a dumb play. And this team was penalized a lot last year, too. A little undisciplined. That's the big fellow, Lance Wayne, downfield to center. You like to see those guys hustling, but you don't want to take a cheap penalty. And here's what we talked about again. There's just cramps galore right now on the Northeastern sideline. And this heat, the humidity up here, the humidity's not that bad, but it's 90 degrees. They're on this turf. It's the first game of the season. It's definitely affecting the players on both sides of the field.
The penalty takes Georgia Southern back to the 37, and they've had a change at quarterback. Another flag comes down. Darius Smiley's checked into the game. We saw him in a cameo handing off to Andrews for the touchdown at the beginning of the game. So let's see if Seawalk makes this a sustainable change at quarterback. Darius wears number 9, and he's in for another play.
Incidental face mask. Number 55 on defense. 5 yards added to the end of the run. Still 1st down.
And you know, here's something to consider. This is a big drive for Georgia Southern because they are not a come-from-behind team. They do not like to be behind. We have to throw the football, so we'll see what happens here.
Smiley seemed to be the more effective passer, and this is now becoming a penalty fest.
And you know why, right, Ryan? I mean, the fatigue, it's amazing how difference when you're tired and you're dehydrated, how it messes with your mind.
False start. 64 offense. 5 yards. 1st down.
You hear about strong-willed, you talk about persevering, you talk about winning the 4th quarter. Well, that's why, because this is when you have to dig down deeper, especially in this heat.
And Smiley's going to take the onus of that penalty. He's off. Foster's back in.
First down and 8 for the Eagles.
From the 39-yard line, Foster on the keeper, picking his way. Another flag comes down. Knocked out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Barry Jeanson, the safety there defensively. Well, a year ago, Georgia Southern was the 6th most penalized team in the Southern Conference.
Yep. Well, again, you let Foster get to the outside on that roll. You want to try and contain him and turn him inside where your buddies are. Now watch, you'll see. Watch number 37 right there. You just saw a little flash. That was the defensive back, Kevin Brown, to that side. He took a bad angle and allowed Foster once again to bounce it to the outside.
On the offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
10 yards from the spot, and this is not Georgia Southern football. They pride themselves on discipline and poise, and undoubtedly Coach Sewak will hammer those points home in film session. And the rotation continues as you see the numbers heading in the wrong way. 4 consecutive plays with a penalty for Georgia Southern. Smiley returns.
You can tell it's the first game of the season for both teams, with a lot of new faces out there.
1st and 17 from the 30-yard line. Darius, the backup quarterback from a year ago, under center. Looking for the quick hitter. Andrews was open, but that was a poorly delivered football.
Nothing like throwing a guy in there, hasn't thrown a ball all game, and make him roll to his left and then throw across his body to his right. So that's a tough play call, but once again, he led him too far upfield. So Georgia Southern, again, does not like to play from behind, because then you're forced to throw the football, not their strength.
Smiley, the junior from Pensacola, slipped behind Foster on the depth chart, in part because of a non-throwing shoulder injury. Play fake, setting up the inside slip screen, caught, and now it becomes picking and choosing for the tailback. But not much going on there. Austin wanted things to develop, but there was Northeastern defensively.
Well, what happened was there was a defender to that side who tipped the football in this throwback screen, and there was number 50 that time, Campiano, understanding the fact that they're not going to throw the ball vertically down the field. Georgia Southern just can't do that. So you're looking at from screens, draws, some quick outs. Campiano was able to get that defender off his feet and jump up and tap that football.
Even though it was a small gain, their first completion on the afternoon. 3rd and 14, back to the air. Smiley had options. He selects to keep it, and he's going nowhere. Well played by Northeastern. Brett Kenny, the linebacker, there for the stop.
Oh, big play on 3rd and down and long again. Georgia Southern, when they throw the football, they want it to be on 1st down where they can catch you sleeping, not on 3rd and long. Great defensive coverage deep for Northeastern. Really no throwing lanes to throw that football. Came up and make the tackle, and now forced the Eagles to punt for the 2nd time.
Move up, two, move up, two.
Dan Jordan kicking.
Dan Jordan back in punt formation.
Broomfield set to return.
Ball's coming in, come right out of the sun.
Broomfield, a few elusive moves to the 36-yard line. 40-yard kick, but Broomfield cuts into the net with the return here on CN8. Well, Murph doing his Marceau mime impersonation, but we'll get to him momentarily. And now in terms of game management, a little bit more football 101. Imperative for Northeastern to keep that ball on the clock and keep that clock rolling.
And stay in bounds. That's a key too. They picked up 8 yards, got knocked out of bounds, but you're exactly right. Now it's clock management. You have the lead. You don't want to do anything stupid. Don't force any throws. Hang on to the football.
And they do just that, and you see the penalty flag roll in.
And of course, if you're Georgia Southern, I mean, this guy's got plenty of time. 11 minutes and 52 seconds to go in the fourth, so you don't have to do anything stupid on either side of the ball, but Northeastern's going to get called for a hold. There was somebody, one of the big horses up front.
After the Riley run, they'll tack off the penalty yardage.
Holding on the offense. Number 60, 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. Second down.
Right in the middle of your screen, you'll see number 60. The big fella got his hands out there, and he had a hand on his back, too. That's what they'll get you. That wasn't a blatant hold, but enough because the running back cut right off your butt. The official was looking right at you and threw the flag.
Keith Ford, the guilty party, the senior from Hamden, Connecticut. 2nd and 13, more misdirection. It's up to Riley to turn it upfield, and Bryant there defensively to bring him down.
Good play call, good design to get him to the outside. That time the big fella, number 60, Keith Ford, he was just a little slow getting out there on the flank, and he's the senior on the right side. He's 6'4", 340. He is definitely sucking some wind right now, and he just could not get to the outside. If he gets to the outside and gets his man down, Riley has a lane and may take it to the house.
As you see, Northeastern has shined in this category. A year ago, 46%, fourth best in the A-10. They need 6 on this third down play. Oriole will not get there. Parks trying to allow things to develop, but could not get any separation between himself and Shannon Williams, the senior from Lake Wales, Florida.
He had a throwback screen, Georgia Southern, all over that play. Great defensive stop. Williams recognized the fact that they were trying to run a little misdirection and then throw that screen back on a short throwback. Would not be blocked. Took him down and setting up a big fourth down and forced the Husky punt team on the field.
And still a ton of time to go. 10-20 left, but perhaps a little momentum shift there because
see if the Eagles come after this.
Northeastern had the chance to grind some clock. And that is a wobbly kick downfield. It'll be outstanding field position for Georgia Southern right around the 46-yard line. So special teams stepping up and making things difficult for White. Nearly 13 yards on the punt.
I think Jared White, now he's a veteran. He's got to step up in there and punt the football away. That's what Coach Hager's saying. You got to have confidence in your guys. Recognize the shell's going to be there, punt the football away. They did bring the house. Georgia Southern did. But if you block correctly, you can bring the house and still never get there. The Eagles did a nice, or the Huskies did a nice job blocking it. I think White just heard footsteps and shanked that punt.
Jason Foster returns at quarterback from the 47-yard line. On the roll. He'll take it. And takes a stiff hit directly at midfield. Barry Jeanson there. The sophomore from Acton, a converted running back. 3 touchdowns a year ago.
Comes Foster again, a design rollout to the right. The lead blockers out in front, both your tailbacks, and Foster's in on an island, and he was going to try and cut back, and he went nowhere. Jeanson came up from a safety spot.
Barry drawing on his offensive experience, sensing how that cutback might develop. A gain of 3. Foster let that play unfold, kept it himself, got to about the 45, and then Campo Piano, the junior from Walpole, wrapped him up.
Well, that interior has done a nice job for the defense of the Huskies in the second half. Had that one big gash to start the second half, but then they've bottled up Foster and the Huskies, or Foster and the Eagles, and this is a big third down and short situation.
3rd and 2. Austin fighting forward. He's got the first down, plus a yard or 2. Move the sticks. Georgia Southern. Austin now up to 173 rushing yards.
Well, that shank punt really hurts in this situation because Georgia Southern's going to get their yards, but obviously you want them to go to long field, and that's where they've had some in the second half. But this is a short field, and let's see if they can capitalize on it.
Andrews in motion. Austin duplicating the last effort, and he does so well at the conclusion of the play to nurse a few more yards by leaning out.
Yep.
Austin with the carry.
Coach Seawalk, he's obviously not happy that his team is in this dogfight, down 7 late in the fourth.
Brandon Andrews, the sole setback, spelling Austin. Foster on the roll. Foster stays on his feet. Breaking tackles, fighting forward. Touchdown, Georgia Southern. What a play by Foster.
Well, the young fella's going to make some mistakes, but that's what you give up for these type of plays. He's an explosive guy. That time he got in those alleys that Coach Hager was so concerned about with the quarterback and with his speed. He got in the alley. Here it is, rolling to his left. Foster, good job at the point of attack by the Eagles up front guys, and then he just bounced off of 2 players there, bounced off his own guy, kept his feet. The little guy's only 160 pounds, and there he is falling in at the end for the touchdown. That's a big play and an individual effort by the redshirt freshman or the sophomore Foster.
Dudley for the point after. 31-31 with 7:45 to go. Hang with us. More drama probably from New England as we roll on CN8.
Right before the score was tied, Foster under 7, rolling to his left, got in the alley, and then boom, he takes a hit by number 2, Charlotte, the corner to that side, bounced off, took his own man on, and kept rumbling and stumbling, and then barely at the end falling over. Here's another look, rolling to your left. He just turns on the jets, getting into the alley, takes a big hit, keeps his balance, keeps his feet, then again runs into his own player, keeps his feet moving, and right there at the 2-yard line takes another hit, but has enough momentum to fall in for 6. And that's a big answer for the Eagles here to tie it at 31.
35 yards on the ground, capping the 53-yard drive, but all set up by that not so impressive punt that puts Georgia Southern in terrific position, and they capitalize quickly. Infield loses his shoe but stays on his feet. Past midfield to the 40. Cutting inside. He is done. Touchdown Northeastern, no flags.
Look at the official in there. Get out of the way. Let him celebrate. He just ran it back 95 yards. I love that in college football. The guys, they tackle each other, and the officials get over like they're doing something wrong. They're celebrating. What a run for the young fella.
And it gotta be the shoes.
Nice. I like it. That's what you call excitement. Broomfield energizing this home crowd here at Parsons Field with a long kickoff return to give the Huskies the lead.
What a shift in momentum there. 94 yards on the return. Kessick straight through. 38-31 Northeastern.
And here it is coming right at you. Broomfield cutting to his right, loses his shoe, cuts it back to his left, doesn't lose any speed though, picks up 2 or 3 blocks, then cuts it back across the field, outruns the kicker, and he's off to the races into the house with the touchdown. Here it is again, catches it about the 12, little stutter step, picks up a blocker, goes to his right, look at his forward lean, boom, bounces off somebody, breaks out of a tackle there, that's where the shoe came off, then he cuts it completely across the field. Now it's just a foot race, and he switches the hand. I like what he did right there. He switched the ball with his other hand, just in case he needed a stiff arm. But that's just instinct and speed, and that's 6 points quickly.
And that's what he was able to do in high school in Miami. Had 3 kickoff returns for touchdowns in his senior year. It took him 16 seconds to cover those 94 yards.
Well, that's what you like to see instead of taking a knee at the 2-yard line, because this is what he can do. And again, Brian, you know this from playing football or from playing sports or calling sports, is that when you start young guys, you're going to have mistakes. That's just the nature of the game. But they're starting 10 new guys never played before, but also if you're that talented, you got to run them out there and let them make mistakes, because then they can come up with plays like that. So I like to see, very nice to see the young fellow made a mistake early in the ballgame that cost him great field position to answer back with a big play of his own. Now we better get some fluids in him.
And making some history in the process. It's been 2 years since Georgia Southern allowed a kickoff return for a touchdown.
And the Eagles are known for their special teams.
Well, we've seen a little bit of everything so far, and still 7:28 on the clock. Georgia Southern just has to fall on that football. Difficulties hauling it in. And the wise move by Jefferson just to drop over it.
Well, that's just that was a knuckleball. Jefferson just could not come up with the flight of that football. And he did have some time to be able to pick it up and maybe get some positive yards, but he just fell on top of it. Now, bad field position for the Eagles.
Backed up at the 11. So and they'll play it conservatively. Austin straight ahead. Murph's had some time to ponder his thoughts. Greg, what do you have?
Yes, I've been waxing poetically down here. You know, down here on the Northeastern sideline, obviously the emotion has come full circle. After the Georgia Southern touchdown, their heads were hanging a little bit, and the coaches came over and said, look, we need somebody to make a big play. They were talking to the offense. We need someone on this squad to make a big play. Well, they get it from special teams, and now every single member of the Northeastern team is up on their feet back into this game. Now they just need the defense to hold, guys. Back upstairs.
Thank you, Greg. No question, an emotion shifter in that play. And now let's see what Georgia Southern can do to bounce back. Able to move the chains and out to the 23-yard line.
Well, you know something, Brian? Both teams' coaches got to be proud of the way their players are playing, because they're playing hard. They had many chances just to pack it in or give up because certain things happen, but neither team has.
Foster on the keeper. Loses the football, but falls on it. Stays inbound, so the clock rolls with 6:20 to go. Punched out, it appeared, by Kevin Brown.
Yep, good job on that. That's exactly what happened. As he was coming around to the left, Kevin Foster trying to get to the outside. That's exactly what happened right there. Number 37, Kevin Brown, just got up off the ground and punched that football away. Fortunately for the Eagles, Foster was able to fall back on top of that.
Gain of 9 yards.
Foster comes off. We'll see Smiley once more for a 2nd and 1. Smiley looking down the middle of the field. It was McCutcheon running the post, but just too much oomph on it.
McCutcheon got behind number 4, Lamar Gay, right up the left hash. And Smiley just overthrew him by 2 or 3 yards. That's just, you don't get enough repetitions in practice, and this is what can happen. You got the adrenaline flowing, you get back there, you say, oh no, he's wide open. And he had him up the left hash and just overthrew him by about 1.5 yards.
Smiley will guide this 3rd and 1. And take it himself.
Smiley keeps it himself.
He's got the first down. Clock stopped unofficially and confirmed by Mike Mitchell.
Some quick scores from around the Atlantic 10. Rhode Island over Fordham, 34-20. And JMU and Lock Haven are playing later today. And a couple finals, top 25. Oklahoma upset by TCU, 17-10.
It'll be a long day in Norman, Oklahoma. Up the middle, Austin, who's getting closer to the 200-yard mark for just the 2nd time in his scintillating career. He got 197 on 19 carries.
And they're going to the hurry-up offense.
Clock becoming more significant of an issue with 5 minutes even left in regulation. Remember, overtime a factor in college football. And not the sudden death variety we see in the NFL. Austin powering ahead.
Austin again on the carry. Mid first by by number 55, Gene Rich.
Rich meeting him on defense, the senior from New Britain, Pennsylvania. And this is a large play. 3rd and 7 from the 36-yard line. It's Foster under 7. Takes it. He won't get there. Read nicely by Northeastern. Kevin Brown, right spot, right time.
Wow, that was a huge play by that defense because Craig Kenny, the outside linebacker to that side, actually took an underneath rush and allowed that lane to be formed, but the pursuit on the outside that time was able to come up and make a tackle. And there's Craig Kenny saying, thank goodness for my backside guys because they picked me up.
And with 3:50 to go, the punting unit stays on the sideline. 4th and 5. Georgia Southern goes for it. Foster feeling pressure, lets it go as a man towards the sideline. Caught. McCutcheon wide open. They pick up the 4th down conversion.
Wow, that was another wounded duck. Defensively, they kept containment. They forced Smiley on the inside of Foster to step up and throw that football. And how does a guy get that wide open? Right in front of number 2, Charlotte on the outside. Again, they forced contain. They lost a little bit there, and he just throws the ball up there. And, whoa, his foot was very close to coming down on the outside. Let's watch his feet. If he does get one in, that's all you need in college. Throws it up out there, and looks like he did get that right foot down.
All the way down to the 34. It is Lamont Jefferson to about the 32, but most of that a function of clock as we hit the 3:15 mark, but some of that play call also the nature of Georgia Southern football. A year ago, they went for it on 35 times on 4th down. This is a aggressive offense, needing a score, trailing 38-31 on the road at Northeastern. 2nd and 6 from the 30.
They didn't pick it up there. The game may have been over.
Smiley's in and he hands it off. And it's Andrews picking up the 1st down. He's to the 16-yard line. The senior from Swainsboro has a touchdown in this one.
Well, you know Northeastern's defense is gassed here in the second half. There is no doubt about that. That front 7 has been taking pounding up front. That's a lot of licks you take on. The team just continues to run the ball downhill at you.
1st and 10 from the 21. Smiley hands it off. Brandon Andrews twisting forward for perhaps a yard and a half, 2. 2:30 left in regulation. Austin is sitting on 199. 2nd and 8. Smiley keeps, falls forward to the 15-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 4.
Well, this is obviously 4-down territory for the Eagles.
1:56 left and rolling.
4-yard gain.
Nothing doing. And did the ball come free?
Well, it did, but they're going to call him down. Now, Coach Seawalk's got to make a decision. You got 2 timeouts left here. Do you want to burn one to make sure that you get the right play call? Because as we talked about, if you do not pick it up, this game is over.
And
look at the pounding right there. Look at the... That ball did come out at the end. Good job by the Huskies up front.
Seawalk electing not to call timeout. 4th and 4 from the 15.
Excuse me, Brian. Here's something you may want to consider. The hard count. If you're Northeastern, stay in there. Don't give them a cheap 1st down.
Smiley will run a play on the sprint out roll, throwing towards the end zone. Touchdown, Georgia Southern. Hauled in by Reggie McCutcheon, the first touchdown catch of his college career.
You've got to be kidding me. What an unbelievable ball game this is. Georgia Southern not to be kept down on 4th down, once again going for it and picking it up here on this possession. Rolling to his left, Smiley throws it out there to McCutcheon on a corner route in the corner of the end zone, catches the football and gets down in time, and now the all-important extra point.
Jonathan Dudley for the tie. Sneaks it through, 38-38 with 57 seconds left.
And they complete both of them.
McCutcheon, the junior from Ellenwood, Georgia, a Florida transfer, a track guy, one of the fastest people in high school sports a few years back, knew he'd have to step it up with Teddy Kraft unavailable for Seawalk's team because of the suspension. And as we touched on when we joined you at the outset of the broadcast a year ago, Northeastern suffering 4 of its 6 losses by 4 points or less. They know all about overtime, a pair of OT games a year ago. And they split those decisions. But they're hoping that they can produce something in 57 seconds. And remember, when it comes to field goal reliability, Kessick has a strong leg, and he is cool when it counts historically. The last time Broomfield touched the football, he went 94 yards for the score. He's flanked by Mark Thomas.
But since he's out, Bismarck Osei is on one side, and that forces Charlotte, who's really on the second team, to be out there a lot. And on that series, he was just a little bit slow and a little bit behind on 2 or 3 plays. Not quite sure what this secondary coverage was called, so I don't want to pin that on him. But that injury to Ora probably hurt that secondary.
Let's check in with Greg on the field.
Yeah, guys, that timeout was called by number 42, Shane Hopkins. He saw something in the Georgia Southern kicking lineup that he did not like, called the timeout. Now Rocky Hager has decided to send out his hands team, concerned about an onside kick perhaps, so sending out the hands team. That's why we got the stoppage of play.
Well, if I'm Georgia Southern, I don't know if I'd be running an onside kick here now for sure, because not with the field goal kicker that Northeastern has, and you only need a field goal to win this ball game. So I know Rocky's probably playing it safe right here, but I'd be really surprised if Coach from the Eagles, Serwalk, decides to onside kick this.
Well, he is an aggressive play caller, but I'm with you. The odds would be far against him.
I have another adjective I would use to describe that.
And they'll play the percentages, kick it deep. Thomas takes the knee. So Northeastern takes over at the 20, having burned a timeout. However, we'll foreshadow what Kessick can do. Career-long 57 yards in 2002 to beat Richmond. That is the longest field goal in the history of Atlantic 10 football.
Well, if they're going to win this game, they're going to earn it, because they're going to have to go the long field. There's 57 seconds to go here. 1 timeout. Now, keep in mind, in college football, the clock stops when you pick up a first down before they reset the ball.
Oriel setting up the slip screen and takes the sack. He was buried quickly by Rico Zachary, the safety.
Well, now it's a whole different mental game. See, that's where a rookie mistake. There's a first big chance to win the game here as a starter, and his guy was covered up, but he just cannot take the sack. You got to throw that ball down at the feet of the offensive player where it can't be intercepted. You cannot take a sack in that situation. Obviously, that came from his backside. He had little time to react to it, but a good defensive play by Georgia Southern coming with the blitz. But that was, a guy who doesn't have a lot of experience under center, and for the first time in the ball game, he made a decision that now the philosophy of Coach Hager may change, because now, if you're Georgia Southern, you're going to want to burn timeouts and force them to punt the football.
That's why they just called timeouts.
Yep.
Hoping to get their kick. It's Parks on the end around, and he gets the yardage back significantly. A late flag comes down. The senior brought down very close to the sticks, about a half-yard shy, but it could be coming back.
That's going to be a hold. from where that came. Yep. And that's too bad for Northeastern because they got right back to yardage, and now they are really going to be in a hole.
On the offense, number 87. Second down.
And it was Pat Graham, the wide receiver, picking up the hole, trying to spring his fellow Waddell Parks.
Probably see him on the... This is going to dictate what they decide to do. If they don't get positive yards here, they get a sack. You're going to probably see him take a couple of knees.
2nd and 15 from the 15. And they'll play it safe. Riley up the middle. Clock rolls.
Now that they're going to hurry up to try and get one more play in. They're not even going to go for it. They're going to play to overtime.
Gain of 6, 3rd down and 9.
Well, not the way if you're a Northeastern Husky fan that you wanted to end the game to end, because with 57 seconds to go, or actually at 58, looked like you had this game in the win column.
But fitting based on just how competitive this game is. It'll come down to OT. We'll detail all the overtime rules.
There's Coach Seawalk rounding his troops. So no, this is I don't know if